Welcome to Wednesday, the third day of the week. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. This remains the AM show. We're here to serve you and we wish you a fantastic morning. In fact, that's why we're starting off your morning on this wonderful note. Thank you for joining us. Now, coming up this morning, as usual, right after the news, we'll get into the newspaper review with political scientist, also director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asasanti. He will be our guest from far away via Zoom. And then we get into our big stories, and the first one that we have lined up for you this morning. The Ghana Boundary Commission is hinting at a possible reconstruction of some boundary pillars which played a crucial, pivotal role in the 2017 International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea ruling, but are currently buried in the sea sand of the Western region. We'll be interacting on how we can work to protect our territory. Our guest on that beat, Sarah Kuban, is Director of Policy Plans and Programs, Ghana Boundary Commission. We also have Reverend Herbert Jabba, Director, Boundary Survey and Delimitation of the Ghana Boundary Commission. But from there, moving away from borders, we'll be coming to school borders at the SHS level. We've got our eyes on the regional qualifiers of the National Science and Math Quiz. Our reporters will be on location to join us with reports, and from yesterday we've been seeing how aggressively the schools have been preparing. But which school will make it and which school will fall along the way? Today, we bring you that picture. Is your school repping? Anyway, today being a Wednesday, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, would be coming your way with AM Business as well. And today, James Ashan reports that some investors within Ghana's automotive industry want government to explore various options in addressing the high taxes causing distress within the space. What are they proposing? Stay tuned for AM Business. Oh, and coming Saturday at 10 a.m. on the dot, we're hitting you with the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey. It's coming off at the Aviation Social Center. And today, one of our sponsors, Charlina Health, producers of Shaltox lozenges and leopard balm, will be joining us right here on the show. That's what the AM show looks like this Wednesday morning. So just stick and stay and let's get interactive on the show. Shoot us a message via the live stream or give us a buzz at the tail end. For now, though, just wait and let me serve you the news. Let's settle for the news now. In our first story, residents of Sejamase in Chibi in the eastern region are recording strange diseases they suspect is being caused by illegal mining activities in the Etiwa forest. Now, the residents are angry about the destruction of their water bodies by illegal miners. Chief of the area, Berima Okoping Botuo Dankwa I, wants his colleague chiefs to help government end galamsey now. Aisha Ibrahim visited the Sejamase community and filed this report.
of illegal mining is making their lives miserable.
Ade ba ko ne se amutu a omankata mana no so. Enti obi ha okofum kura. Se woni nkwala na na ma de bia ne nani won nkwala no because omutumi ko topiti no at any time. Ana afin so ye kofum a ye nya nso no. Antopyota first no so de ya no no. Na kapyota kura ye no because e won so if forest no ma e kofum na ye san. This time ko na antun so a nya nso no. So na e poto. Bana afi ama ye could my first in tuntum ni hawo but ama tuntum abaha ama oda if you stock e kura ene winter ama malaria no cheche ye ma no keke.
So Matilda Sante is essentially saying that they used to go to farm and drink water in the farm, but because of illegal mining they are unable to do that because all the water bodies surrounding them in their farms have been distracted by the illegal mining. Again, those illegal miners, they dig the pits and they do not cover it, and so sometimes people can mistakenly fall into those pits, and so anytime she's going to the farm with her children, she's always uncomfortable.
Mine ne galamsey no na on season se galamsey ne shemu kana se ye jai na enso ye nya ya somdwi.
Emmanuel Achianotebi, also resident of Sajimathe, laments that all efforts to get government's attention to the problem has yielded no result.
The cause of the problem, why we are not being able to uproot what is going on, is because of the powerful people behind this operation. You see, you arrest them and the next thing you hear is that they have been released. Nothing happens to them. 2014, 2015, there was an operation here and they arrested about 500, more than 500 people, and they seized over 11 excavators that was packed at the as assembly. Before we realized all the excavators were gone, and the reason is that somebody comes in with a letter from the seat of government or from a powerful place, and then the MCE or whoever is in charge had nothing to do.
In our next story, Chief Executive Officer of the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, Dr. Walanyo Kojo Siabi, has disclosed that the Tumu Small Town Water System project will be solar-powered to reduce electricity bills. He said, per the new design, it would also be difficult for people to illegally connect to the system. Construction work is moving on steadily and will be completed next year. Here's a report by Rafiq Salam.
Tumu is one of the fastest growing municipalities in the Upper West region. The sprawling nature of the municipality, coupled with its increasing population, brings to bear pressure on the few social amenities in the enclave. The number of residents in the Tumu township over the years has outnumbered the quantum of water pumped daily by the Tumu small town water system. The current population of Tumu is pegged a little over 14,000 and requires a total of 1,290 meters cubic of water per day. They are however unable to achieve the target owing to some technical and power challenges. The situation sometimes forces many residents to look for a precious commodity from unhygienic and contaminated sources. Concerned about the plight of the people, the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, CWSA, has developed a new state-of-the-art water supply system to supply 2,705 cubic meters of water per day to the Tumu Township and its adjoining communities. It will cater for a population of 20,309 and will last for 30 years. Dr. Wolanjo Kojosiabi is the Chief Executive Officer of the CWSA, and he gave more insight on the new design.
We are looking at technology that will reduce electricity costs and also provide, make it very difficult for people who are the bad people who want to do illegal connections. So you'll see that we are using HDPE pipes completely, both the transmission and distribution. Secondly, our standpipes are not going to be manual. They will be electronic. We'll use smart taps, and it will help us to avoid congestion at the standpipe. So anytime anybody wants to fetch water, even midnight, you can go there and fetch, unlike previously where you have a lot of children and women converging and wasting time.
The total cost of the Tumu Water project is valued around 80 million Ghana cedis. The project is being funded by the government of Ghana and also from internal donated funds of the Community Water and Sanitation Agency. Contract for the multi-million Ghana cedi project was signed in January 2023. Work on the CWSA office complex began immediately and quickly followed by the construction of the elevator high tanks. Two contractors, Pomtech and Domi Limited, have the onerous responsibility to execute the project.
If you care to know, Tumu is one of the hotspots as far as renewable energy resources. Tumu and Navrongo across the country. So it is well placed that we are tapping solar energy from here to pump the water. This will help them reduce their energy bills. And once the water is given to the people, it's given through these pipes, which are not easy to just cut in by any plumber and then do illegal connections. So far, we have achieved 40% in basically 4 months. We are in the 5th month now. And looking at the next almost 1 year ahead of us, we are very optimistic that we'll finish and reserve over 6 months.
So far, as you can see, that is one of the towers over there. The other one is not too far away from here. And then we went through a lot to bring in the pipes as well. We are now going to start the excavation. So give and take, we have about 35% as at the last 3 months that we started work. And we have up to next year, June, to finish. But we are very optimistic that by December, water should be running in Tumu without a problem, because we'll have finished.
Dr. Wolanjo Kojosiabi, as part of his 3-day working visit to the region, toured the sites to see the progress of work. He was impressed with the work done so far, urging the chiefs and people of the Sisala Enclave to believe and support the CWSA to succeed.
We started also, you remember you yourself, Rafiq Salam, you came to my office in Accra and said, look, the water system in Tumu is down, so we should do something about it. We quickly deploy our staff, and they started first fix the problem that was there. And this is a follow-up to make sure that we achieve what we have promised. And it's not only in Tumu that we are working, we are in Wellenbele and a number of other communities. And so they should just believe in us and they should support us.
Work on the project is expected to be completed next year, June. Reporting for the news, Rafik Salam, Tumu.
Now, the Rotary Club has ended an age-old water crisis in 4 communities in the Kwakuve enclave in the Kittu North municipality of the Volta region. The club provided 4 communities which previously shared water sources with animals with mechanized borehole facilities. There is more in this report.
A collaboration between the Rotary Club of Ho and the Rotary Club of Ann Arbor, USA, saw the construction of a mechanized borehole for the Tokanu community in the Kwakuve enclave. This brought great relief to the rural dwellers as it ended an age-old challenge of residents relying on water from dugouts and streams polluted with fecal matter of cattle. A resident of Tokanu, Charlotte Dumako, lamented the water crisis becomes dire during the dry season.
Tokanu afia mi pe asifu alagbegbe o de damore afia goji yemi kuna kaka anyi ho no anyi mi dem kaka de kama no yita ye ko mi kuna na be anochi mi aka ba na ji na motoki na kobe na jechi galon de ka 1 cedi afi na ten aza na nya ba ko didi ma ngba jena gogogo bona che denwa afi mi kuna damuti. The
situation of the rural dwellers has now changed for the better. These residents would no longer use polluted water or experience water scarcity during the dry season. The president of the Rotary Club of Ho, Simon Fafali Awumi, said the club is focused on helping the underprivileged in its jurisdiction.
Last year, we provided potable drinking water for the Kwakuve United Community, but unfortunately Tokanu was not part because it was difficult getting water here and there was no funding for it. So this year we raised funds through the Rotary Club of Ann Arbor, Michigan, to provide them potable drinking water, and we are here today as a success story to commission this water project. I want to say water is life, water is key to the survival of every community and every human being or every household. So I'm encouraging or I'm entreating the community to maintain this water, because for their whole lifetime of this community, they've not had any potable drinking water. So maintenance is key. That is what I want to tell the community. They should take care of this water. And this project falls under one of the 7 areas of focus of Rotary, which is water and sanitation.
Anya Maupaman River, ba agba miekpo achi to Rotary Club. Allo Rotary International, boy kamiano viola ho Rotary Club langona, bo nami echi. Ala bo ba diba, o de pool abe 14. Kaka aba rota para oba echi agbojiji. Ejire la miapo. Kaka aba maupa mona miele jire po ba nanaka masasa wo na mawo. Ta mau garama. Alaba agba miepochi o nyejijona toka ndu kokata pla Kwakuve United Kata.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Tokanu.
In our next story, Interior Minister Ambrose Derry has described the See Something, Say Something initiative, which was launched last year, as one of the most successful projects so far instituted. He says there has been massive cooperation from citizens since the campaign started. Mr. Derry was speaking at the Spanish Embassy's donation of Ford Ranger pickups to the Ghana Immigration Service. There is more in this report by Jacqueline and Soma Yabua.
Ghana is relatively a safe country in a region with growing safety and security concerns. However, the recent increase in activities of violence and the worsening political instability in neighboring countries has intensified Ghanaians and international entities' attention to security matters. The See Something, Say Something launched by government last year has been described by the Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, as highly effective and captivating. He says the campaign has encouraged citizens to approach the police more confidently, and there's an increase in the reportage of issues without hesitation. According to him, the recent incidents in Daboya serve as a testament to its success, attributed to the skillful mediation techniques employed by the Ghanaian police.
We're getting a lot, and especially with the police service. If you followed the police service has instituted a community approach to most of their activities. And that's what is going to give us last. You don't just go into a community, arrest people, beat some, kill some. You don't achieve that. The cohesion that we are beginning to get, which is going the same with the police, with the immigration and this, we are listening more to the community. And as we do so, you begin to see that things are happening. For instance, recently we heard of Daboya. There was Daboya breaking of windscreens and the rest of them. In the end, with unfortunate loss of a man who was over 80 years old, shot on the field. But in spite of the fact that they damaged police equipment, the police engaged them, got their cooperation, arrested people, screened them, and we're going on. That's why we think that all of you are important, because sometimes I get a phone call from a journalist who tells me that this thing is happening here and we are not there, and we are able to deal with it. So I think we are better off now.
The ambassador of Spain to Ghana, Javier Gutierrez, explained the motive behind the donation of the 4 Ford Ranger pickups by the Spanish embassy.
Spain has been cooperating in the past few years with the security forces of Ghana, both with the Ghana Immigration Service and the police, and we've been, among other things, building capacities through the donation of equipment. The equipment donated today for four-wheel drive vehicles are meant for the border control to improve the capacities of the Ghana Immigration Service, and also for the police in the fight against crime. And this is just a partnership between Spain and Ghana, and we want to build this partnership also in the field of security. I believe that this cooperation has been fruitful for both countries. I think, as I mentioned during my statement, Spain is also learning from Ghana. Ghana has been successful in preventing terrorism from attacking your territory, the Ghanaian territory. And I think that we are also learning from you.
The vehicles will be given to the Ghana Immigration Service and the Criminal Investigation Department to aid their security operations. Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah, reporting for Joy News.
Well, let's get into the National Science and Math Quiz now. And Archbishop Porter Girls SHS secured a resounding victory, beating rivals Hantaman Girls SHS at the regional qualifiers. Michael Ashali has more in this report.
SHS showcased their dominance and left no room for Hantaman Girls SHS to exact revenge. It was a charged atmosphere at the Nat Hall. From the very beginning, Archbishop Porter Girls SHS demonstrated their prowess, earning a significant lead in the first round. Hantaman Girls SHS fought hard to keep up, but found themselves trailing behind.
Yes, Hantaman.
Relation.
That is correct.
As the competition progressed, the ladies of substance widened the gap between themselves and their contenders.
Archbishop Porter Girls.
-4 meters per second.
That is correct. Hantaman.
-3 meters per second.
That is correct.
And they showed no sign of slowing down.
Congratulations to you, Archbishop Porter Girls. You won, and you won convincingly. In fact, Archbishop Porter Girls Senior High School has scored the highest so far in the Western region.
Ahantaman Girls SHS fought bravely, but it appears it wasn't enough to bridge the point deficit. But for them, all hope is not lost.
What do you expect from next year?
Oh, we are coming with all the force. We are coming to conquer the competition next year.
I saw you scribbling. Are you going to be contesting next year?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
So Archbishop Porter Girls should expect to meet you again?
Yes, they should expect to meet me.
And what would you do to them?
Oh, I'll just kick them out of the competition. That's what they've done to us.
The Portarians have an answer for them.
You want to meet them?
Yes, of course.
What will you do to them?
We'll beat them again.
The other schools, Pristia SHS, Manso Amenfi SHS, and Bonzo Kaku SHS faced an even bigger challenge as they struggled to accumulate points.
At the end of this contest, Manso Amenfi Senior High School had 1 point. Bonzo Kaku Senior High School had 3 points. Pristia Senior High Technical School had 18 points.
For Joy News, Michael Ashali.
Is your school getting representation at the National Science and Math Quiz? Well, do stay with us as we bring you all the scoop on that. But up next on the AM show, we'll be serving you the news review with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante of the University of Ghana. We'll be back. Thank you for staying. Thank you for keeping us company. Time now for us to get into the newspapers, and we have most of them lined up for us this morning. We're going to be discussing the details with you, and we're joined by Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He is a political scientist, a lecturer at the University of Ghana, and he is also director of the Center for European Studies at the same institution. He joins us for a conversation. But before I bring him in, this segment is brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. What are they offering you? Pay attention. If you're a man, prostate screening gratis for free. Okay, you're not going to pay anything. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free, also for free. And I've been harping on this, that in recent times I've encountered many men who have concerns about their prostates, who have checked and realized that there were issues they should have been dealing with. So why don't you just go and get yourself checked? For the women's end, there are so many cases of fibroids and this and that, all of them fertility-related issues. Have you got yourself checked? That is why all of us need to make tracks to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Where can you find them? Here in Accra, they're at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Then there is Takrady Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama Nzema. You do want to give them a call, don't you? Here are the numbers: 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just bringing me to the start of the news review. Let me say a very good morning to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. If you can hear me, Doc, welcome aboard.
Yeah. Good morning, Ben.
Good to have you, as always.
Yeah.
It's been another week, another cycle has come, and there have been lots of happenings. One thing I have been talking about, I think it's 2 days to go now, we have another Green Ghana Day. But what do we have to show when in one breath we're greening Ghana, and in another we're wantonly destroying our country with Galamsey? I don't know whether you followed the news this morning, but in the Sejamase community, some residents, prominent residents, were talking about the fact that there had been an outbreak of strange diseases previously unknown to them on the back of illegal mining activities. And one of them, a very prominent member of that community, said that there was a time when some excavators belonging to illegal miners were confiscated and all of that at the police, or by the police, I should say. Then people would come with notices, whether from the seat of the presidency, his words, not mine, or other high offices in our country. And by, all the excavators left the containment center. When we act like this as a country, how can we possibly win the fight against Galamsey? So that's been on my mind. If there are any thoughts you'd like to share with us this morning, like I usually give my guests the opportunity to do, you can do that right before we get into the papers.
Yes, what you have said is a worrying situation. And the only thing I can say here is that the government doesn't want to fight it. Because if indeed government is serious about fighting Galamsey, they would have put all resources together to fight it. But what we are seeing, the government is not ready. So the least said about it, the better. I want to look at something Mr. Hakmot Usajiman said regarding a compromise candidate, that they've started talking to Polka Party hopeful who want to contest for the MPP flag bearership, and then to impress it upon them, as it were, to suspend the ambition and then work towards having a compromise candidate. That proposal, for me, is an interesting one, but it has come too late. Why am I saying this? If you look at MPP as a party, they have sat down for the system to be bastardized, that they have encouraged all manner of things happening to the extent that now, look at the people who want to contest. They are at each other's throat. Now you want to call for what? A compromise candidate. But I'm asking a question. When did the MPP know that popular acclamation is also useful? And they condemn NDC for pseudo declaration. Is that not what they want to do? That is not good enough. What is more worrying is that once you chart this path, you are not going to find anything meaningful, because nobody is going to step down. And I'm wondering whether those who are asking for that will have the courage to ask, for instance, Dr. Baumia to step down, or Alan Chemating to shelve his ambition, or Kennedy Japan, or Bashir Jack.
It's interesting. I put that same thought to Hackman Owusu-Agyemang, and he said that, well, I asked them that if they went through and they had to sieve, cut down, trim the numbers, did he honestly think a Dr. Baumia or an Alan Chemating would not make the cut? And he said, well, you never knew what the delegates or the screening process could bring on board. But like you're saying, it would be almost suicidal for the MPP if any of these two juggernauts did not feature. And I remember when Kojo Poku, one of those who also wants to contest, in fact, he has picked up form, so let's say he is contesting, was queried by my colleague Evans Mensah on the same subject. He said that it was too early, and that in fact, until it got to the point where super delegates maybe had to come into the picture, for now, everybody had a right to go and show themselves and contest and have delegates take a look at them. Is that your view as well?
Yes, I share that view. Because, look, what Mr. Owusu-Agyemang is asking for, a compromise candidate, can be gained through electoral process. That compromise candidate will be born when you allow people to select through election. That person will emerge. Yes, that is all that it means. You want a compromise candidate. The only process through which you can get that person is through election. Then we say that this is the candidate that we all are in support. We want him to lead the party. That's it. Any other measure, you are going to deepen the woes of the party. You create enmity. You create war, bitterness, rancor. And look at the economic conditions of this country. It has put the NPP in bad light. And I'm not sure they want to ruffle the feathers more by adding this to it. I think that proposal might be shelved immediately because it is not going to go anywhere. People will resist it, and people will doubt even that body that they will put in place to screen people, to sieve the process and get that compromised candidate. Nobody will believe that. So they should abandon it and allow the election to go. I am getting a feeling and that maybe a candidate that is why they are doing that. And if that is the case, then I'm afraid they should just advise the person to master the courage and go through the election. If he's indeed he's popular among the people will vote for him. Because if there is no such a plan, then they have done their research and know that, yes, a particular candidate will obviously emerge victorious. Why do you want to suggest this proposal? I think it will not help them.
Point made. Let's see how the cookie crumbles. The MPP will have to, their motto is development in freedom. So let's see whether they will deliver that freedom to the candidates who hope to contest. And at the end of the day, one person must carry the day. How they'll execute that, only time will tell. But just an interesting thought. On the back of just talking reminded me of a statement that was made. Who was it exactly that said this? I'd have to call it to mind. I don't want to mention a name that is not accurate. But he said that no matter which candidate the NPP fielded, that candidate, no matter whom, would be better than former President John Dramani Mahama. The name is just on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember it. When I do, I'll bring it up. But what do you feel about such rhetoric? He says no matter the candidate that the MPP fields, that person will be better than the opposition leader, so to speak, former President Mahama. Is the MPP becoming complacent?
From their posture, it's gradually becoming a reality that they are becoming too complacent. But they can be surprised at the polls. So they should be careful and then go slowly. Yes, because for election, anything can happen. And it's a numbers game. And remember that one vote that you lose can put somebody in the lead and you cross the line and he becomes the president. There are certain things that they need to make sure that they get them right. I'm sure you heard this statement that they talk about Dankwa, Dombo, Buzia. Some of them are saying that it is a turn of for Dombo. I'm sure you heard that statement.
Yes.
It is unfortunate. Why am I saying that? If you talk about Dankwa, you are talking about UGCC. You are talking about Dombo. You are talking about MPP, the Northern People's Party. You are talking about Buzia. You are talking about Ghana's Congress Party. After 1951 election, UGCC lost out, and their remnants became the backbone for the Ghana Congress Party that was led by Professor Buzia. Then, in 1956, NLM emerged. So there were other parties also around. The Gashi Fimokwe, the Gaston Party, Anglo Youth Organization, Togoland Congress. All these parties could not stand the mighty of Kwame Nkrumah, CPP. CPP whipped them to line, and then they won the last election of 1956. In 58, Kwame Nkrumah passed Avoidance of Discrimination Act. So all the political parties won on the ground and then gang up and form a party called UP. So if you are talking about these three names, you are talking about UP. For me, you are leaving out other groups, such as the Togoland Congress, such as the Gashi Fimokwe, such as Anglo Youth Organization. They are part of the UP. So if you are saying that it's for these three, that it is a turn of Dombo. What about the 10? When will be the 10 for what? Togoland Congress. When will be the 10 for what? Anglo Youth Organization, Gastefa's party, and the rest of them. Once you do that, you create what problems within the party. Those who are talking about that should stop it, because it sends wrong signal that you are dividing people. You don't want some people to be in your midst and all that. That idea must be shelved. That statement, they should stop saying that. Otherwise, it can be used as a campaign tool against them. The history is clear. That when you were talking about UP, you are talking about amalgamation of what? Political parties. It's not only three, the Northern People's Party. It is not only the UGCC or what, Ghana Congress Party, but you are talking about others. So when will be the time for the other ones? They should, those who are saying those things, they should stop it. The history will not support that.
Thank you for those insightful thoughts that you've shared with us. Let's get into the papers now. Starting with the Daily Graphic, anti-corruption plan cure for IMF bailout. That's according to Shraj. Joseph Whittle, the Shraj boss, pictured there. Mental health eats up 7% of our GDP. That story is on page 16. Justice Doche bows out, vows to continue fight for justice. And I saw him recently in a certain church. It was good to see him. There's also Green Ghana Day, like I've mentioned, 2 days more. But where's the accountability, Mr. President? Where is the accountability? How much have we expended? How many trees have been, planted? How many have survived? And as we go, how about the seedling suppliers who have not been paid? What do? Are we just adding cost upon cost? And how is this remedying our destruction, wanton destruction of our environment through Galamsey? Questions for your reflection, Mr. President. Supreme Court overturns $16 million judgment against Ghana Telecom. On the back page, 200 children suffer heart diseases from birth yearly. And that's a sorry story, like Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante will say, 200 children. There's also Spain supports immigration and police with vehicles. And we brought you that story in the AM News this morning. But let's get into the first one, the banner headline. Now, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shraj, has stated that the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan will save the country from the cycle of returning to the International Monetary Fund for economic support. The Commissioner of Shraj, Joseph Whittle, in an interview with the Daily Graphic last Thursday, said NACAP, which was the country's strategic response to corruption, needed the full attention of the government as a major anti-corruption tool to settle on. He said the plan, if fully implemented, would include a robust Conduct of Public Officers Act, which would tackle rampant conflict of interest situations with sanctions and ensure a robust assets declaration regime among officers in public service from the president to the messenger. Now, Mr. Whittle expressed worry that in spite of the overriding importance of NACAP in checking corruption emanating from the public sector, there had been little interest in passing the Code of Conduct bill, adding that, quote, the bill is presently before Cabinet. So what is hobbling moving forward? That is the question. And just to give a bit of a background to the story, Ghana's strategy against corruption was conceived at the first National Integrity Conference organized by Shraj all the way in 1998. That is some 25 years ago. The National Anti-Corruption Strategy was validated at the Second Integrity Conference in October 2011. Since its inception in 2015, progress reports on the country's performance have been issued in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. The fight against graft, Dr. Asah-Asante, it appears to be a big one that we bleed from. The finance minister himself has said that between 4 and 6 billion, I mean, he said something of the sort quite a while ago, is lost to corruption. But we're still in the doldrums. Any reactions to this story? Doc, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. It's unfortunate that we are struggling to fight corruption. I support the position by the Shraj boss, that one surest way by which we can save this country for going for IMF support and the rest of them is to tighten the noose around corruption. We need to fight it head on. GII has told us, that's Ghana Integrity Initiative, has told us that every year we lose about $3 billion to corruption. That is the money that IMF is giving us and we are so excited about. If we fight corruption head on, we are going to save a lot of money. In addition to that, let us also have Parliament should continue to do its good work by making sure that the money that we lose through public offices that are captured in the Auditor's General reports is also, dealt with seriously. Because there are a lot of money that we lose through activities in public services. All these things, when we put them together, it should be able to help us out of corruption. But governments that we have had over the years, they just pay lip service to corruption. They don't want to fight it. And up to date, I don't know why that corruption is so difficult for them to fight, where they know that if they strengthen their effort in this direction, we are going to rake in a lot of money and it will help this country. I think that we as a society, we must make sure that we force them to do the needful by voting them out if they don't fight corruption. Once we continue to do that, I'm sure they will listen to us. Because for the electorate, the only power we have is power to renew or not to renew one's mandate. And that we have to exercise it carefully and effectively. Once we do that, I'm sure we'll get somewhere. Otherwise, we will always talk about corruption, and corruption will still be serve as albatross around our necks.
Let's wrap with the daily graphic with these stories. Mental health eats up 7% of GDP. And a study conducted by 3 institutions has revealed that 7% of the country's productivity is lost to ordinary Ghanaians due to mental health. Now, the study by the University of Ghana's Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, popularly known as ISA, in collaboration with the Yale University and the Department of Psychiatry, Department of the University of Ghana, also showed that only 3% of mental health patients received services from orthodox psychiatric settings. 3% from orthodox psychiatric settings. Now, the low access is due to geographical barriers, economic challenges, stigma, the lack of human resources, and training opportunities, as well as inadequate infrastructure. President Akufo-Addo made reference to the statistics when he opened the mental health department building at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra yesterday. One thing that we have performed woefully on is mental health, whether from the organizational level, private business, public business, all the way to government itself and the citizenry by and large. Mental health is not prioritized in this country at all. Not in any way. I mean, the other day someone drew my attention to something. You remember those in Fana where some children were just going to school and back. They were in the canoe, it capsized, and some of them drowned. I hear that the girl who was holding her brother, and he fell in there, and, they couldn't rescue him before the unfortunate happened. She's been having some, post-traumatic incidents and all of that. Have we bothered to give them psychological or psychiatric assistance? You get it. So it's something that is poorly prioritized in this country, and it always comes back to bite us. Now we're hearing 7% of our GDP. The last time I checked, our GDP was hovering around $70+ billion. So what this basically means is that a chunk of that, somewhere around $7 billion, is lost to mental health. But what are we doing about it? Again, we're sitting ducks. Let me just add these stories so you can react to them together. Speaker swears in a member of parliament for Kumeu. And of course, we heard of that yesterday as Parliament, the 8th Parliament, resumed. he took the oath of allegiance and the oath as a member of parliament. We also know that the Minority Caucus has now endorsed the new Chief Justice nominee. I'm talking about Gertrude Tokonu. But I had to end with this. Period poverty. How loud must we shout to be heard? That's on gender. That's on page 13. Grab a copy of it, and I will keep harping on this unless I don't see a story on it. And unless it doesn't come to mind. Because why we have about 35% of taxes, both the importation tax and VAT put together on sanitary pads, considering them some sort of luxury, I don't understand. Nigeria has scrapped all such taxes. Tanzania, Kenya, among other countries. Why are we still maintaining this tax and making sanitary products so expensive for our women? As long as I remember this issue, I'll bring it up. So, for your reflection, 7% of GDP lost to mental health. Kumewu MP sworn in, and then there is the bit about sanitary pads and why we're taxing them. Any quick thoughts, Doc?
Yeah, I will look at mental health. It's a problem. We pay very little attention to mental health, but it's one of the areas in health that requires a lot of attention. But here, what do we see? Look at people in such difficult situation. We have allowed them to even roam around, and sometimes they even pose danger to people who walk around. You and I are alive to a story where somebody killed a mental health person, killed somebody, a passerby, and the rest of them. These things need to be checked and checked properly. Right. Even look at their hospitals. Do we pay attention to their hospitals? The last time I visited one of the facilities, you saw the environment. That as if there is no attention. Recently, we heard stories about even Pantan Hospital that people are encroaching and people, those working there are complaining. Why are we doing that? We need to be able to put resources in and then pay attention to that. It is part of the requirements that we need to fulfill if we really want to up our game in the area of health. I'll move on to the taxation on sanitary pads. I think we all heard Dr. Baumia, who chastised the NDC for having introduced a lot of nuisance taxes. I want to find out whether this tax is part of the nuisance taxes, because sanitary pads are so important in the life of women. So why do you want to discourage people for using it? We have heard that lack of it has created all manner of problems for young girls who are in schools, in secondary schools. So I think the NDC decided that to apply pupils or students with those parts. Why are we doing this? Taking a lot of taxes in this area. What it tells us that you want to prevent people from using it, because if I don't use it, then I don't pay any tax. But have we forgotten that there is a problem in that direction that we want to kill? And then some are not able to buy this, and they are unable to go to schools and the rest of them. I think that the government must look at this policy again. It is not in the interest of anybody in this country at all. I'll move on to the new MP for Kumewu. We hope and pray that he will continue, will start his work and do it well. He should be able to support his people through a lot of development, a lot of programs that will uplift the conditions of the people. We put people in parliament to serve our interests. We don't want them to serve their own parochial interests. I'm sure he knows these things more than I do. So we will support him, whatever means possible, but we will not hesitate to take a swipe at him when he does something to the contrary. But we believe that his addition, he should let us feel it, that it is something that is going to add to the quality that we'll have in Parliament. Parliament are doing a great job, and we want any addition to be worth its salt. Then I look at the last one on the I think the CJ. Justice Duche, who's bowing out.
Okay.
Congratulations to him. He has served his country well, and we wish him well and his family as he goes out of the Supreme Court. We want to see him alive for a very long time. We pray for him. He has served his country well, and the world will remember him. This country will remember him forever and ever.
Yeah. Justice Duche, of course, one who has been there, done that, and served his motherland. Let's wrap, Doc, on with these stories from the Daily Guide, and I'll pick two more, just the headlines from two other papers. But the Daily Guide, economy back on track, that's according to Dr. Bawumia, Vice President. He was speaking at the third Ghana Investments and Opportunities Summit in London yesterday. And he noted that the government was relentlessly refocusing on economic growth and working hard to regain the trajectory Ghana was on before COVID. And he indicated that the country's economic opportunity for private sector investors was back on track. We'll have to find out from those in the business sector. When we speak to them, that's not the rhetoric, that's not how they feel. On the back of still rampant inflation, on the back of the CD still flip-flopping. But minority attacks World Bank boss. And the minority in parliament is demanding evidence from the World Bank country director, Pierre-Franck Laporte, over claims he made on the take-or-pay power purchase agreements of the energy sector. Now, ranking member for Mines and Energy, John Janapo, speaking on behalf of the minority, said the World Bank director should provide evidence of peer countries who are willing to invest $300 million and above in gas-to-power projects at the time of emergency without demanding some form of supply and payment guarantees. The minority also debunks the claim that the PPAs approved under the Mahama administration were the cause of Ghana's current energy sector problems. They pointed out that the MPP minority in parliament at the time approved all the agreements, including Amandi, AXA, and Ameri, without any objection. So that is their claim there. Those two stories, the only ones I'll add, headlines, this headline from The Finder, management of Gambaga witches camps calls for support to refurbish the huts. We are probably the only country, because I read some statistics in the past, with witch camps. But the other dynamic, some of these people ordinarily would be killed. And so the witch camps serve a purpose in terms of protecting them, preventing them from an untimely death. And that's the story there. The final one, health sector in the Ghanaian Publisher. Health sector needs serious funding. That's according to the health minister. And I was reading a story only yesterday about the flock of nurses to the UK. I think about 1,200 of them within a short space of time in 2022. It's becoming a huge problem. Any quick reactions to a few of these stories, and then we can wrap the conversation?
Yes, I'll look at the health sector, especially where we don't pump a lot of money in there.
Right.
There are a lot of waste in the system. Why can't we organize ourselves well, get all these resources and pump into important areas such as health, which feed into every sector? Because when you have ill health of people, productivity will go down. This is a very simple thing that every government must know. So why are we paying lip service to this? We need to strengthen that area if we are interested in productivity. The other bit on that score is also the issue of health officials who are leaving this country to seek greener pastures. What do you expect them to do if economic conditions are difficult? This tells us that we need to manage the economy very well so that it becomes attractive for people to stay here and work.
Right.
Because yes, from time to time, people will leave the country. But when you have exodus of people, moving to other countries to look for meaningful jobs, then it creates a problem, especially when you are talking about health sector where the state are pumping a lot of resources to train people. then we are losing our resources.
Right.
So we should be able to work these things very carefully in order to ensure value for money. The last one I will look at it is the Vice President saying that the economy is back on track. And I want to find out, is it the case that it is the government's doing, or it is the IMF equation which is performing the miracle? Obviously, we know that it is not the government, it is the IMF. But my worry is that why do we always want to sit down for things to degenerate and we'll get to IMF? And look at the conditions they are giving us. My worry, my pain is that now government is ready to go along with all the conditions, strict, however strict they are. But you ask yourself on your own, wouldn't you have done it in your own freestyle where you can maintain discipline and then avert this problem of what IMF with all the conditionalities? I think our leaders must be able to govern this country very well and making sure that the economy is safe and sound and produce what we require as a people.
Indeed, I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining the conversation. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. We wish you the best, sir.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to Comfortamu. You are head of Customer Care Fidelity Bank. Yesterday, in fact, belated happy birthday to you. Yesterday, you turned 50. And from your gang, Mac Randolph, Jemima, Ambrose, as well as Pakwesi, Lila, Troy, Tyrell, and Tori Hagan, they wish you the very best as you chalk 50 years. Also from Isaac Amu of our Isaac Amwa of our camera department, you say you want me to salute Benjamin Ni Ajatogbo, Elder Benjamin Ni Ajatogbo of the Forestry Commission. God richly bless you as you mark your birthday today. This segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening. You can reach them at Accra Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Chronomabwehia behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Esiama Enzema. Call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But the start of sports up next.
Good morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, and the president of the Ghana Football Association, Ket Okreko, says that the kickoff time of the Ghana Premier League matches is one of the reasons why fans have not patronized that competition this season. According to him, European football has invaded the country and making it very difficult for fans to patronize Ghana Premier League matches. He says the football governing body will assemble at a congress and decide the kickoff time for some matches.
So you can see clearly that as part of the strategy to ensure that more people consume the sport, one will have to look at a scheduling strategy. Okay, but again, we have big challenges here. Beyond the Accra Sports Stadium, beyond the Babaya Sports Stadium, and I think beyond the Cape Coast. Now we don't have a Premier League club in Cape Coast. None of the other stadia have the necessary infrastructure by way of lights for evening games, for example. So if you want to shift kickoff times to, let's say, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., maybe even 11 p.m., you don't have the infrastructure. Okay. I remember in 2004, South America in Argentina had a problem. The problem was the massive negative effect of the EPL on games in Argentina. What the Argentine FA did at that time was to pitch kickoff times not against the kickoff times in England, but at 10 p.m. in Argentina. and then link that to the youth who love to be at clubs to party. So games kick off at 10 p.m. By midnight, games are over. Beyond midnight, clubbing. That was a clear strategy by the Argentine Football Association. And all over the world, whether in the La Liga, in Serie A, in Ligue 1, everybody is adjusting and to ensure that they don't fight the EPL. Because the EPL clearly is a very, very strong brand. And for us in Ghana, it's not only about the EPL we are talking about. It's about all the big leagues that are available on TV in our dear country that is fighting our domestic leagues. So it's very clear that we need a lot more infrastructure to ensure that all the good ideas that we have can be fully implemented. Nevertheless, we have night football sometimes at Accra Sports Stadium on Friday nights or Monday nights, sometimes even on Sunday nights at the Babaya Sports Stadium, and sometimes in Cape Coast when the Black Stars have played. And we intend to continue with that strategy.
The FA intends to continue with the strategy of playing matches under floodlights. Now let's talk about the Asamoah Gyan Under-16 tournament, dubbed the Baby Jet Under-16 competition. It started in Cape Coast yesterday, and we've been speaking to him. He says that this is a competition designed to unearth the next generation of football stars.
It's important for Ghanaians and the whole of Africa because you know, we trying to develop talents, you know, for the near future. Of course, you know, when it comes to football, of course, our target is the Black Stars. You know, make sure we go to place to win the Black Stars. But we're focusing on the grassroots, you know, to have a strong foundation, and then we take it from there. You know, so it's very, very important. You know, when it comes to me, I support grassroots football a lot, and that is what we are planning to do.
What next for these talents after the end of the competition?
Yeah, as you said, you know, there will be a lot of scouts there to monitor these kids, you know, from Europe and stuff, to just pick their players and then make sure they take them to Europe and then continue their careers there. You know, there'll be even universities outside who wants to even take some of the kids, give them scholarship and stuff. Not necessarily people playing that assistant will just go to the top level. You know, definitely you get people furthering their education and stuff, and that is what we're planning to. We're just trying to help them, you know. And I think for now the response has been very, very, very good, you know. So yeah.
One of the things I saw from your Twitter feed was the fact that from the semi-final stage, the matches are going to be on television. Just how great is this for the young talents, and what advice would you offer to these young talents who will be coming on?
Yeah, our time we didn't get that exposure, you know. So we spoke to SuperSport, you know, because of the relationship I have with them, you know, and everything went on well, you know. So we decided some of the games will be telecast live for everybody to see. And when you see this case, you know, even their parents watching them on TV, they'll be very proud of them, you know. And seeing themselves on TV, it also boosts their confidence to push harder to achieve their dream, you know. So it's something we are trying to do to make life easier for these kids coming up.
This is our wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Just by way of announcement, the former Western Regional Football Association chairman, Koyo Yanka, has confirmed that he will be contesting for the GFA presidency later this year. Though the Ghana Football Association is yet to officially announce the roadmap for the elections. They'll be going to Congress on July 6th, and we expect all details regarding the elections to be announced at that Congress. But he's the first person to confirm. Other rumors we've picked up, or intel available to us, is that Georgia Fruye will be contesting for the presidency. As and when we have details of what every candidate or every aspirant is doing, we'll be sharing them with you here on the AM show. We appreciate your company.
Well, thank you for staying with us on the AM show. We're back after sports and we're talking about our boundaries in Ghana. And basically since that 2017 ITLOS ruling in our favor, there's been a lot of work on our boundaries, the pillars that mark Ghana's boundaries. There are some concerns. I have seen in recent times Major General Emmanuel Kotia going around pretty active. Our own colleague here, Maxwell Agbagba, going around with him. But this morning, we host the Ghana Boundary Commission as they get into the latest insights, the work that the Commission has been doing, and what the way forward is, even as today we mark a rather special day. Our guest joining us for this conversation, we have Sarah Ekuban. She is Director of Policy, Plans and Programs at the Ghana Boundary Commission. We also have Reverend Herbert Jabba, Director, Boundary Survey and Delimitation, Ghana Boundary Commission. Rev and Sarah, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. You know, this morning I almost felt a bit nostalgic because Major General Kotia is a lecturer of mine, and I was just imagining if he had come, what it would be like. I would do my job and, you know, pin him here. You get it. And when we go to class, he will pin me. He would have definitely pinned me there. But it's good to have you join the conversation. The Ghana Boundary Commission has been up to quite a lot in the last few years. I'd just like to set the tone for the conversation, starting from some of what you've been up to, especially in the last 2 years. I'll start with you, Sarah.
Okay. All right. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning to your listeners. So the Ghana Boundary Commission, as you said, we're relatively new. Came into force fully in 2021, even though we're established by an Act of Parliament in 2010. In 2020, that's when we had our national coordinator appointed, but we became fully operational in 2021. And since then, 2-3 years, we've done quite a lot, as you said. What our mandate is to ensure that our boundaries, international boundaries, that's land and maritime, are secured. So that's what we've been doing in the years that we've been in existence, ensuring that our boundaries are properly demarcated or delimited. And it's also good for us to be here today because even as we're talking about boundaries, today, 7th June, marks the African Border Day by African Union member states. So thought it was good today to come here, talk about the commission and also about the day. Yeah.
Let me come to you, Rev. So 2 years running, 2 years of work. We know what established or what caused the establishment of the Ghana Boundary Commission, but please expand a little on that and also tell us a bit more about what you've been up to over this period.
Okay, so thank you very much and good morning to your listeners. The Ghana Boundary Commission is doing a lot of work on our maritime and land boundaries. We have tackled the eastern part of our boundary, the northern and the western part. With Togo, a popular dollar power area, we had to get some issues resolved on our boundary pillars that have been removed and some encroachments along the place. The northern part, Sapliga area, we went there to secure the boundary, the pillars. Most of the issues are with the pillars. People try to remove the pillars and we make sure...
People try to remove the pillars? When you say people, Ghanaians, people from the other side, depending on which border?
We've not caught anybody doing so you cannot say per se who exactly is, but it's alleged. Sometimes it's alleged the other side do it, sometimes alleged some people on our side. But people remove the pillars and we try to find the pillars and repost them in conjunction with our neighbors. All work we have to do on the boundaries, we sometimes go and do reconnaissance and such, but definitely if we have to re-put the pillars back, we do it together with the neighboring countries. So in the eastern side also, we've done some work. Maritime, yes, a lot of negotiations are going on. We recently had an inspection on the ITLOS ruling. We went to do some inspection on the maritime. So we've been working, even though we have had a few years operating.
How exactly do we go about monitoring in terms of, for example, in other jurisdictions, their marine enterprise would be monitored constantly? Partly, for some of them, it's because there are a lot of people who are always trying to cross Italy, for example, the Lampedusa area. For us, how do we do this monitoring? And do we have any inkling why, for example, some people are trying to remove these pillars? And do we know why? What is it that they stand to gain?
Okay. So we are working in collaboration with a lot of agencies, the Ghana Immigration Service, the Navy, the Air Force, all of them are partners who work with us to collect information and monitor the boundaries, both maritime and land. So the urge to sometimes people trying to remove the pillars may necessarily be due to some don't even know where they are there. They are farming, they are using their tractors.
Oh, I see.
And they just bulldoze it.
It's an impediment.
It's an impediment.
So they're getting them off.
Some of them are maybe scrupulous. They are mining and doing some bad things, and then they want to move the pillar so that they lose as if they are working in the neighboring country or something. So that may be some of the reasons, but we've not prosecuted somebody to tell us exactly why he's doing one thing or the other. But we are collaborating with all the agencies to be able to do this work effectively, because it's not a one sector work to be done.
So which entities do you collaborate with on this enterprise?
So like I said, the Air Force,
okay.
we work with the Navy, we work with the Ghana Immigration Service, the police themselves, the customs officials,
NIP, National Intelligence Bureau, Ghana Geological Survey, quite a number of them depending on what the issue. I mean, also you asked about how we do the monitoring. We have a technical team that goes to the field. So what we have to do is go to the field and assess the state of the boundary pillars, or the markers as we call them, to make sure that they're there. Because as you're well aware, one of what defines a state, a character, is a well-defined boundary or border. So we have to make sure in ensuring the territorial sovereignty of Ghana that what demarcates or what defines our borders are in place. So we regularly go out in the field across all our neighboring countries to find out the state of the pillars. As Herbert rightly said, some of them are displaced by natural occurrences.
Right.
You go to the field and find them submerged or covered with sand. Some too are displaced, by human actions and what have you. So we have to make sure they are there. And if they are not, then our job, next phase, comes to putting in place these pillars. But as my colleague rightly pointed out, we do this in collaboration with the neighboring states. So if you're on the eastern boundary, for instance, we can't just go and assess it by ourselves. We do it with our counterparts from Togo.
To ensure that no one is pushing into the other's jurisdiction. And I want to believe that there are satellite, ways of doing the monitoring as well. But how often do you do this monitoring, for example? Let's say in a month, let's say in a quarter. How often do you do this to ensure that the pushing and shoving is not really happening? Because for all you know, maybe on one end, there could be a lot of activity there, and by the time you go, there's a lot of work to be done. How do you do that?
Okay, so how often we do that? We just got back from the field last month, and covering about approximately 60 kilometers of the boundary. In total, we have over 2,200 kilometers boundary line. So
that's a lot of space.
That's a lot. So we are taking it.
I don't envy you on that front.
So we try to do it as often as we can. So what we do, we covered 60 kilometers. Last year too, we covered quite a distance. So we do that every month. The impediment, of course, would be the rainy season, because most of these boundary areas are also inaccessible and prone to flooding. So when the rains come, we can't do, but we take opportunity when we're in the dry season or when we can to do a lot of the field work. Yes.
And speaking of getting submerged, we know some of those concerning the 2017 ITLOS ruling have also been submerged in a way. And I'm sure that will impede your work from time to time. But you're looking at reconstructing some of these. What exactly is the plan? Have you started on this already? Because this is crucial. It was on the back of this that we won that ITLOS ruling. We all celebrated it, but now if they are getting submerged, so what's the state of that?
Okay, so we have a reaffirmation program going on with all our neighbors.
Okay.
And the reaffirmation is we go back to our pillars that define our boundaries and make sure they are there. If they are not there, we find modalities and plans to re-put them there. So like she rightly said, we've done 60 kilometers with our neighboring Togo, and we have plans to do same with Burkina Faso and also with Cote d'Ivoire. So those plans are there. The major pillars, the main pillars that start the maritime space, the Pillar 1 and the Pillar 55 on our borders are going to be monuments that will help to be there permanently to help define the maritime space. So the maritime border is defined by just a line, but it starts from a pillar, and that is what we will define on land, and that will be a monument to do. So rest assured, we are preempting any litigations or anything on boundary. So whilst there's peace, we work on the boundaries and make sure they are secure, they are well defined, so that anything that comes up in future becomes easy to resolve, other than just waiting and sitting down. So like you asked, we are doing this via satellite imagery. We have drones that we use on the field to help some of the monitoring, and we also map also with drones. So we do surveillance and checking of the line with drones, and also then we do mapping also of the lines with drones, so to help secure the boundary.
How problematic is it? Shortly, I'll ask about other areas, but how problematic is it when the boundary pillars get submerged? How difficult is it for you to ensure that the demarcations are properly kept and all of that, like with those I'm making mention of now? How difficult is it?
Okay, so boundary pillars, we have documents, we call legacy document, that reference the information of where those pillars are. The challenge will be when you're on the ground, you cannot easily find a pillar in the forest. So it takes some collaboration with a lot of people. So we find the pillars. If they are not there where they are supposed to be, then the two parties agree on where to place it based on the definitions in the legacy document. So the legacy documents, or the documents that we inherited from our colonial masters, becomes the defining document between us and them, where the boundary line is. And by and large, the boundary itself definition is on land. There have not been much dispute. It is when you go and don't find the pillars, or somebody encroaching, then we go there and redefine and put it back where it's supposed to be. So it's quite interesting.
Beyond land, of course, there's maritime.
Yes.
There's our airspace. I don't know about what you do there, since you collaborate with the Air Force, the Navy, and all of that. I'll come to you, Sarah. Beyond the land borders and the demarcations, in terms of our territorial waters and all of that, how do we do the monitoring? How do we go about it?
Okay, so we do that also together with the Ghana Navy. And just recently we did, in relation to after the ITLOS ruling, both countries having gone to observe the line or the space, we did a monitoring observation mission with the Ghana Navy, and that showed that there hasn't been any infractions or anything along that space. So that's what we do, and we're also going to look into do that this year with Togo, and also with counterparts from Cote d'Ivoire. The other one we did it with the Ghana Navy, but we are doing it with Cote d'Ivoire to make sure that everything is as should be, and then everyone is respecting the ITLOS ruling and implementation of it. So we do that with the vessels, the Navy vessels, and the drones, the maritime drones that we have with high quality cameras that we got, yes, from...
I also posed that question because it was just yesterday evening or so that I was reading a story. I've forgotten whether it was the Telegraph. I should have actually copied it, talking about our territorial waters in Ghana and how Chinese fishing trawlers and others are basically taking the food out of the mouths of our fisher folk. You get it? They are fishing in our waters. We're not really getting them, holding them to task and all of that. So I posed that question on the back of that as well. What's our approach to that? How are we dealing with it? Rev?
Okay, so I think the Ghana Maritime Authority is on top of it already. They are handling a lot of issues on that as well. We don't have we look at the boundary, but so the Ghana Maritime Authority are looking into it and are working on that area directly. But to do with the border, our task is to make sure that we police the border and make sure it's working. And like she said, we are up to it, sir.
In terms of the relevance of this commission, 2 years of life and everything that has been done, your collaborations, the major stakeholders, what would you say, and I know it's a tricky question, but I'm sure someone would be watching and saying, whoa, Ghana Boundary Commission, maybe I've not heard too much about them.
Yeah.
How relevant has your work been to our national life? You started mentioning how a state, even to be called a state, needs to be properly demarcated. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Okay. So that's a good question, because we also hear that a lot. People haven't heard about the Boundary Commission. They see you and it's like, oh, where are you from and when did it come into play? And I think the relevance of the Ghana Boundary Commission coming into play is very key, because we need to know where our boundaries are, and not just that, but you can't know, I mean, if you don't know where your boundaries are, if they are not defined, you can't then get people to go, whether security forces or the immigration or whatever. You cannot put a border post there, for instance, if you don't know where it is. So in our 2 years of existence, we've identified quite a number, as you said, of these pillars that are not in place, but also in instances where if the pillar is not there, you can't tell. The citizens, even though we are one people, can't tell whether you're in Togo territory, for instance, or you're in Ghana territory. And then, of course, there may be some disputes here and there. And we've gone on the ground while we are doing our work. We've helped in some cases to resolve some of these disputes over where the boundaries are. So a space, I think, where was it? Sapeliga. Where, Pumakum, where we thought it was in our...
Which region is that in?
It's in the...
Northern region.
Northern region.
Upper East region. Upper East region. Yeah, so Polymakum, there was a river defining the boundary between us and them, and the farmers...
Is it Burkina?
Okay.
Burkina Faso?
No, Togo.
Togo, right? Yes. On the Togo, okay.
Yeah. So they're part of the community trying to work beyond the river, saying it's theirs, and our team says the river is the boundary. So we went to resolve that. There's also Kametono area also, where the part of the community spreads beyond the boundary to Togo side. So there are issues of people living on the boundary who have issues crossing and go. We help resolve those things when we get on land. Dispute resolution in that vein.
And also to add to that, I think also one of the things that we do is to identify deprived border communities. So in our work, while we are finding out these pillars, we identify deprived border communities and come into play with interventions, human security interventions. So rehabilitation of schools and pillars, schools and clinics, what have you. So I think it's quite relevant, because otherwise we wouldn't, if we hadn't done some of these work, some of the things that we have found out would not have been known. But now we are bringing it to the fore, and we are making sure that our boundaries are marked, clearly marked, and also kept safe from that, in that regard, yes.
So even beyond the demarcations of our borders on different fronts, you're also playing the extra role of letting those in power, government institutions, know when there are deprived communities as well.
Yes.
How many of these, I mean, maybe not give me a full number, but as you go along, how many of these do you encounter, and what then follows? I'm sure there's health infrastructure, there's educational infrastructure to talk about. We know about the schools under the trees. In fact, we have a documentary series that we've been highlighting, our schools of shame and all of that, just to ensure that we make some progress. So just walk us through that. Maybe Rev can come in at this point. So what are some of these that you encounter?
Most of the communities, like you said, are in village, rural areas. Most of them are inaccessible. So sometimes roads, even accessible roads, are key that play. And the roads does not serve only the community, but even patrolling the border communities. So there's a commission to make some roads in the Saplika area along the border to help patrolling and to have access into the community. There's also another one near the Dollar Power area that also help to
that name whenever I hear Dollar Power
to have access to that community. Schools, we have done a lot of research. Our research department has done a lot of work gathering those information. We are working with our partners. I hear some are in the pipeline trying to get some of the schools rehabilitated, the hospitals. Almost all the communities along the boundaries are deprived, because sometimes they are very far away from settlements. They are very far away from settlements. They don't have schools, they don't have water. And so most of the communities are not touched with the development. So then we note them, and we start working with the partners to work.
You'd also like to come in. Even as you do, I'd also like to add, do you find some places that are not connected to the national electricity grid?
Yeah.
I know that a lot of these were, I'm just asking on that front as well.
Yes, a lot of them. A lot of them. Majority of them are not. A few of them who are close to major towns are connected to the national electricity. Sometimes it crosses over to the other side, unfortunately.
When you say it crosses over to the other side?
Sometimes some
borders.
Yes, sometimes some communities are Ghanaian communities that have crossed over, have grown and spilled over to the other side. So the electricity, everything, yeah. So we have communities that's sitting right on the border, half of the city is in half of the community is in Ghana, half of it is in Togo.
How do you deal with such situations?
They are Ghanaians, sometimes they are Togos. You see, border communities are the same people. They are one family, and the borderline came through. So it is my land, and the border came through. So it's my community. So recent work, there are towns along the Togo border community. The same people, the borderline goes through. So they're taking power from Ghana. Majority of them are in Ghana, so they just work like that.
That's an interesting scenario. You were about to comment on.
Yes, so I just wanted to also touch on the infrastructure and also deprive communities of access to these border areas. For instance, in 2021, when we went to the Dollar Power Sapelica area, as Herbert mentioned earlier, most of these places are not accessible. So getting there is even an issue, and that's where the collaboration...
I was wondering, I was thinking, if they are as inaccessible as Rev is saying,
they are.
How do you get there?
So yes, thankfully with the help of the Ghana, support from the Ghana Army, specifically the Ghana Armed Force, specifically the Air Force, most of these places when they're going to the field, it's the Air Force, the helis or the planes that they use, because we cannot go there by road. So that's what that support comes in, to be able to assess it. And we did a multi-agency assessment to Dollar Power and also to Sapelica in 2021. And one of the findings we had, of course, in our report, and our report goes out even to the presidency and to all the stakeholders that are affected, we realized there has to be roads, for instance, to these areas. And I'm happy to say we facilitated the process, and we had the Ministry of Roads and Highways giving, I think, about 78 billion to construct feeder roads to Dollar Power and also to Sapelica. So that is in the process. The 48 engineers, I think, will be handling that because of security reasons. But also with the schools, as we speak, we went to, I think, Lekele Bikame and a number of communities where we identified projects that needed like clinics and schools and all that. And we put the report together. Now we have ECOWAS coming in to help support rehabilitate a clinic in the Lekele Bikame area, the Volta region. So the team is actually there this week to do an assessment, and then it will begin soon. So these are some of the things that come out. We try to produce results. It's not just going to look at the pillars, but bring some kind of development into those areas.
Let me just say, lest I forget, more power to your elbow. It appears you have quite a load on your shoulder, so more power to your elbow. But you've kept mentioning stakeholders. Yes. Beyond those that you've mentioned so far, beyond those agencies, the NIB, the Ghana Army, the Navy, among others that you would be collaborating with, what are the other stakeholders that on a daily basis often you're working with to ensure that your work is seamless, smooth?
Okay, so we have a number of stakeholders at the national level, regional, continental. So aside the ones that we've mentioned, we're also working a lot with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of National Security, and also the Forestry Commission. Of course, we sit under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, so there's a lot of collaboration on that aspect. At the regional level, we have the boundary commissions from the neighboring countries, of course, from Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, also with Nigeria, because we share maritime boundaries with Nigeria as well. So we collaborate with them. And on the continental level, we have the African Union, ECOWAS. So we are part of the African Union border program that seeks to ensure that we are turning our borders into bridges, stop barriers. So we are working with that, to collaborating a lot with them on a daily. Also with GNPC, I forgot to mention that we work a lot with them, especially on the maritime front. So quite a number of them.
I know they are definitely embedded in that. But in terms of, even before we get into other aspects, I'd like to look at the crucial problematic areas. I know whenever institutions come here, I know there are issues that can be resolved, and this is a platform that can allow you to give vent to some of them, and hopefully you see. I know it's not a bed of roses. So Rev, I'm coming to you on this. what are the crucial problematic areas for the Ghana Boundary Commission? Where can you do more if you were given more, if this were done? I don't want to mention them, but I'm sure you'd be talking about funding, human resource, logistics. You see, I know where they usually
Usual
fall.
suspects.
Usual suspects. So let's get into some of them.
I don't want to mention numbers on budget, but the budgeting we require to do this work, you can just imagine getting a team to the field and staying in the field for 3 weeks, 1 month, and so
Wow.
to do this work, finding the players, surveying, flying the drone, all those things.
And even the human factor. I mean, if these are such remote communities, even basics like water you will drink and all of that has to be.
So the team going has to be resourced very well. And thanks to the national coordinator, he's pulling up all resources from all places to be sure. Because the support, the funding we're getting generally from the nation is not adequate.
So what does your budget look like?
I'm not in the account section. So approved budgets was like 3 million.
Ghana cedis.
Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Our requested budget was like 56 million because of the boundary. We have 202,200 kilometers of boundary, and our plan was to do at least like 700 a year. It's not possible.
She was just mentioning you were doing about 60 kilometers, within the past period.
Yes.
So you need funding.
We need funding.
Because 3 and 56, that's a shortfall of 50, 53.
Yeah. So it's the funding and the equipment we use, precise equipment. These drones we use, they are precision equipment. It's not just normal drone you fly, but a precision equipment, a surveying, mapping drone. So the sensors and things are quite expensive.
And I'm sure these are not just the ordinary drones we fly.
No. So GMPC bought us one, two of them, a few of them, and we're using them. GIZ sponsors some of the GNSS equipment we are using, and other stakeholders are helping. But funding is the major need we have. So we call on the government to either push us up more, and other stakeholders to support us get the tools and equipment for us.
Which other stakeholders can come on board? I mean, you've mentioned some of them, the GIZ among others, with facilitating your work with drone technology and all, but how do you reach out? Because obviously there's a shortfall. From what I see, it doesn't look like the shortfall will be dealt with in the immediate term. So you must look at other means. How are you going about that? That is, if you have any information on that.
Well, I mean, we're just appealing to stakeholders and approaching a number of different development partners to see where we can collaborate or leverage on their expertise or resources. I mean, it's about coming together to do something with the little that we have. So I may have a little, they may have a little, we put it together, at least that can get us somewhere. So we've been doing, the past couple of months, we've been engaging a number of the development partners. We've visited, approached them to see where they can support. And one of the areas we also need support is capacity building. As I mentioned, we are a relatively new commission, so we have to get the staff also up to speed in these areas and build their capacity. We also, aside the development, we also approaching, for instance, the World Food Program. Their focus is on the deprived border communities, or going into these communities with school feeding programs or supporting them. So we just approach based on their mutual areas of interest where we can come together and put something up. That's what we are casting our nets wide to see where we can catch some big fish.
And to the big fish out there who are watching us this morning, yes, we're talking to you. Please help our Ghana Boundary Commission so we can actually maintain our boundaries and get the country still running. But so we've been talking about our boundaries by and large. I just want us to accelerate the conversation and talk about it on an African continental level. Up until, this conversation was coming up, I didn't know there was anything called African Border Day. Okay. And now I do. So thanks to you guys. But what is that all about? The African Union Border Day. What is it all about? I'll start with you, sir.
Okay. So as I mentioned in my earlier submission, the African Border Day is commemorated or was constituted by the African Union back in 2010, March 2010. To highlight the issues about borders and boundaries and the importance in ensuring security, development, and also cooperation among states. So that came to being in 2010, as I mentioned. and it's 7th of June every year. So the idea is for the countries to come together to collaborate and see how we can ensure that our boundaries are demarcated, defined clearly, and also, as we say, how can we come together in terms of neighboring states to push the agenda, to highlight the role of the importance of these boundaries. And also the African Union Border Program seeks to do the same thing. So the Border Day, we use that to highlight the importance of the the African Union Border Program and the Niamey Convention, the African Union Convention on Cross-Border Cooperation, which is also key in our work as far as cross-border cooperation is concerned. So they're different, but it's all about borders and boundaries and what everyone can do to ensure that they're safeguarded.
Right.
If I just want to put it in layman's terms, two neighbors have a border between them, and they take a day, or they put a day aside for them to recognize that we have a border and we know where the border is and we don't have issues with it and we live in harmony. Like she rightly said, the borders must not become bridges, or it must not become barriers, but rather bridges through which we can communicate and work in peace.
And that's an important point to make, because even on the continent, we see so many of these sometimes even spilling over into very discomforting situations. So it is a good thing. But even as I was reflecting on this, I also reflected on the balkanization of Africa, right from the start, that consensus and colonialism and everything. Would that we didn't even have these borders and it was a seamless Africa. But we're not there yet. We're definitely not there yet. So for now, we'll protect what is ours.
So the African Border Day is driving the issue of us not recognizing that even though there are borders, we are one people. Yeah. We are one people. With all our neighboring countries, like I'm saying, the boundary line passes through the same people. It's one family whose land or whose people have been cut into two and part live here. If you go to the Volta region, the chiefs in the Volta region, their people are living on the other side. Yeah. There are some also who live on this side, and they go and come and do the festival. So we are one people. So the borders do not separate us, but they tell us that we are neighbors and we know where our national jurisdiction ends.
If you go to places like Ethiopia, Nigeria, and the rest, then you see how these borders really have carved out and forced people into certain areas where ordinarily they would have just been spread across. And even thinking more beyond this, I'm now reaching towards the after conversation, the free trade area. Yeah. Would that we could trade more, because the trade on the continent is just a pittance compared to the capacity, what we could actually trade. If you look at the statistics, they are nothing to write home about. But let's come home to boundaries. So Sarah, what is the theme for this year's Boundary Day?
Okay, the Border Day. The theme is the
Border Day, I beg your pardon.
Acceleration of the AfTA implementation. I mean, that's the African Union theme. That's what they're looking at for the year, and this year marks 60 years. So they're just trying to see again how to create a seamless Africa, making us one people, trade is one. But where we come in, tying it into us, we are seeing the role of the Ghana Boundary Commission. If you're talking about free trade within the continent, within the region, one of the things we have to make sure that our boundaries are also okay. There's cross-border cooperation, effective and good cross-border cooperation between us. So how do we come into play to ensure that these are there? And these are elements, once we look at, that would help to also accelerate the implementation of the AfTA.
Yeah. And what can we expect on the back of this year's theme? What are we hoping to take away? What are we hoping to do in the course of this year, for example, on the back of that theme?
Okay, so part of the day celebration is the briefing being done in Parliament to the parliamentarians. We have done yesterday we were at the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Information, to give a speech and tell us what we have been doing so far. Besides that, I think by and large we are looking at making sure that we are relevant in the African continent, and we are not sitting back and letting disputes arise when there are issues on the border. Anytime resources emerge anywhere, that is when you see the issues. But if the border is clearly defined, we are safe. So between us and our neighboring countries, we are on top of our communication, and everything is there. to keep us going.
I think in getting our work across, we realized, I mean, last year we had the Border Day commemoration with Cote d'Ivoire. We did joint trip.
So it was a joint affair?
It was a joint affair, joint commemoration. And also because it's in the period of the Green Ghana initiative, we did some joint tree planting along the boundaries to reaffirm our boundaries and all those things. So it was huge. But this year we realized that we need more people on board, not just in terms of support or funding, but when we go out into the field, like we need the people there to tell us where the pillars are. Herbert is a field person, so when they go to the field, they don't know where the pillars are. Sometimes it's in someone's farmlands, and you need them to walk you there to show you. So we realized that this year we just want to take a step back and tell people about the commission, the Ghana Boundary Commission, that we exist and that we need the support. So that's what we are doing, more of a media engagement this year. So yesterday, the press briefing, today the minister, our sector minister for Lands and Natural Resources is delivering a statement in Parliament this morning. And we are also here. It's just to get the word across because we realize that we need to expand our reach to get people to know us so that when we come into the field, we get the collaboration and support that we need from every single person, not just the agencies, but to the citizen, to the person living at the residence. We need everyone's help. So it's just to get the word
a little
out there.
to add that the collaboration of the communities is key. Very, very
Of the
communities.
I was just about to get to that. You know, we have see something, say something.
Yes.
On the borders as well, I'm sure. I mean, even if someone were touching a pillar or doing something inimical to the border lines or our interest as a country, you would expect someone to want to speak up on that, right?
Yes, very much. So the collaboration with we thank the communities we have been to, the Kwetoi community we're just coming from. We thank them so much for the support they gave us. And with the unfortunate incidents also, there are traps. People set traps on their farm and you're looking for pillars, for example. So,
oh wow,
you can have an accident thereof. We nearly had a near miss in such things like that. So we thank the communities for hearing us. A lot of them hear that and they remove the traps from the way from us. A lot of them, we go to them and they say, oh, well, our father told us about the pillars here or there, and they walk us to the place. It is quite a lot of work to have the collaboration of the communities. So they should once your land or your community is close to the boundary, we'll definitely come there, and so they should be expecting us, and we'll be working with them on that level.
And I'm sure a lot of these are farming communities and the rest, so
definitely.
this is crucial.
Yes.
In fact, I had my heart in my mouth when you spoke about that near miss there. So the sensitization drive is also
very, very key.
It's pivotal. Yeah. Are you doing that yourself? Are there state agencies helping you with that, like the NCC? I mean, how do you go about it?
So before every field trip, we have a sensitization. We call the communities and the chiefs on both sides, and we have a sensitization to this. And she leads the sensitization, and it's very, very elaborate. But whilst we're doing the work also, we have a team who goes ahead of us to the communities and try to tell them that they are coming now and they are doing that, give them their support and everything. So.
They need more than the 3 million. They need a lot more.
In fact, one trip, if my accounts would say one trip costs not less than 200,000. Just a trip for 2 or 3 days would cost not less than 200,000. So you can just imagine we staying there for 3 weeks, how much money it costs. And they give us 3 million. Sometimes even rent alone. I'm not talking for the accounts people, but we need it. We need a lot more of funding to be able to do the work we are supposed to do and complete it.
So it's an appeal as well. I am standing in the gap for them. I know they would probably not want to put themselves out there, but I'm saying it. The donor agencies, partner agencies, if you can, you're hearing them. I know you watch us. How about you come to their aid so that they can actually execute their work? But let's talk about how we're commemorating this day. As far as Ghana is concerned, African Border Day. How are we commemorating it? This year, are we doing it by ourselves? We're not collaborating with Togo this time?
No, not this time. We're doing it by ourselves this time. As I said, we want to get the message out there about our existence and also the fact that we need the support of every single person to come to our aid. We just recently came from a mission with the Togo people. We had wanted to do with them, but we just figured let's all deal with our internal issues, get the word out there, and then combine forces. So basically this year is just a media engagement to get the word.
Do you have any members of your team who speak the other languages? I mean, all you need is some French.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
We have professional interpreters and translators in the team, and we have some of the team members who are fluent in languages, the French, the local languages and things. So it's really helpful when you do that. We work with them.
You'll definitely need that. To cap off the conversation, before I take your final words, I'm sure there are some who are watching us who would be saying, wow, I want to know a lot more about their work. Some people may even be aspiring to do what you do. How can people get to know more about the Ghana Boundary Commission, the work you do, the sort of assistance you need, how crucial you are to our national life?
Okay.
I'd like each of you to take a bite of that. Okay. So I'll start with you.
All right, sure. So we have our website. It's www.ghanaboundarycommission.org. So we can reach us on our website. We also have our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram. Ghana Boundary Commission or our GHBC official. But we can also, our office is at Kanda, and we can just reach out to us, whichever way, social media, websites, come to our offices. And also we appeal to the residents, again, on the basis, on the back of the see something, say something. We get calls also from the municipals or district. They see something or there's an issue related to the boundary. They reach out to us and then we come in to intervene with the relevant stakeholders.
Yeah, so the media platform is the key place you can find us. The Facebook is the link. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, all the pages. So if you want to have any information about us, you can come there. Or walk into our office anytime and ask of the commission or any question, and we'll be.
So where specifically in Kanda?
Kanda Post Office. Yes.
The post office.
We're in a building close to the post office. So when the post office is the easy way to find us.
That's on the Mango and Wheat stretch.
Yes.
Then you get to the post office.
Yes.
All right. So if you didn't know, now you know. Any final words?
Well, we just want to thank our listeners. Thank you for your time, but also to the people that have listened today to spread the word out there about the Ghana Boundary Commission and the work that we have been doing, and the fact that we need each and everyone to come on board to support us in our mandates. It's, as you rightly said, it's quite huge, but to cover over 2,000 land boundary, and not to talk of the maritime space, we need everyone's support to do that.
Yeah. It takes all of us, right?
So without the definition of a boundary, there's no country. So the country's pillars belongs to all of us. So nobody should just see the pillars and just think it is a nuisance or something. You should take care of it. If a boundary pillar is in your farm or anything, know that it's a part of a national asset that it helps to define the boundary and not just play with it. So everybody is responsible to be part of this boundary of our nation. And thank them all for supporting us when we come to the field.
In fact, this is a national security matter, the work they do. Our very national security hinges on the work they do. We salute you for protecting us, so to speak, and ensuring that we can enjoy our Ghana.
Thank you very much. It's our pleasure.
Those who joined us for this conversation, Sarah Kuban is Director of Policy, Plans and Programs at the Ghana Boundary Commission. We also had joining the conversation Reverend Herbert Jabba, Director, Boundary Survey and Delimitation, Ghana Boundary Commission. Both of them joined us on the show for a conversation. Up next, we have quite a lot lined up. We'll be taking you to the NSMQ regional qualifiers. Yesterday, quite some action, and there's more coming your way later today. We'll also be telling you about the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey much later in the show, as the Citizens clash with Inter Milan. Which team will come up tops? As we gear up, we'll be engaging one of our sponsors on that event, Charlina Health, producers of Shaltox lozenges and Leopard Balm. Would also bring you AM Business, courtesy of Ecobank, the Pan-African Bank. And today, James Ashen reports that some investors within Ghana's automotive industry want government to explore various options in addressing the high taxes causing distress within that space. That conversation is up next after the break. Philosophy in science. Interesting times ahead as we get into the regional contests for the National Science and Math Quiz. Is your school repping? Your mind day. If your school is not repping, you know some of the bragging rights, you lose them, right? But let's get into the regions now. Yesterday, quite some action that took place. Some schools going down and others showing their mettle, proving their mettle, so to speak. Today, it continues and we go into the regions. Let's head to Sunyani, where we'll be interacting with Emmanuel Bright Kweku. He has a number of students there, schools that have made the cut or are going to participate, and what we can expect from them. Emmanuel, if you can hear me, what is happening all the way in Sunyani?
All right, Benjamin, there's a lot happening actually here in the Bono regional capital in Sunyani. I must say that yesterday we had quite an interesting contest over here in Sunyani, and throughout the contest we had some of the schools giving us some, I must say, impressive contests. We had that of Kentampo and Atebubu Senior High School, and also Ekumfia Mayor. They actually gave us just a wonderful, a stellar performance. They have so far scored some 59 points, the highest so far from the region, or even when you compare that of Western and even the Bono Eastern regional qualifiers, they have given us such a stellar performance. I have with me Anthony, who will be joining me for some discussions on today's contest for the day and even that of yesterday. Yesterday we saw some of the schools who made us just thrilled by their performances. I'm talking about Atebubu Senior High School and then Kentampo Senior High School, and the only female school amongst them are Lady of Mount Carmel Girls and also Ekumfi Ameya. But I would want you to run you by some of the scores for yesterday. Yesterday we saw Atebubu. They featured the first in the contest. They met with Jama SHS and then Busunya SHS. Atebubu managed to score some 33 points. In my earlier interactions with them, they tell me even though they had won, they are not so happy. They are a bit disappointed because they were hoping to garner some 60 points, they tell me. So I have Anthony. Anthony, yesterday we saw Atebubu. You realized that they were a bit down right after the contest. What was your impression?
I think, thank you very much for having me. I think what happened was they expected to perform way better than they did. Seeing the schools that they faced Jema and Busunya SHS. Usually there are some schools who consider themselves the regionally seeded schools, which means they usually qualify from the regionals each year. So they expected that when they come and meet these quote-unquote smaller schools, they'll be able to perform really well and really put their stamp on their performance, but they couldn't score as many points as they expected, and even though they won, they feel a little threatened because when you go to the national stage, you won't be meeting just schools in your region, and that's when your local champion shenanigans will not take you far. So I think they, after feeling that way, they will probably put in more efforts to prepare for the next, which is going to be I think there will be a regional championship, and then they will also be in the nationals. So they'll prepare better for the prelims, and hopefully the pot they fall into won't be too bad for them.
Talking about the pots, actually yesterday after Our Lady of Mount Carmel, they won, and they told me because they had scored some 49 points, they are hoping they will be in Pot A, so they don't meet any other like those giant schools, and then they would kick them out. So it was actually a strategy for them, so they would just qualify to the 1/8. What do you have saying?
So the pot system is pretty much like in football, where you let the winners of one group meet the runners-up in another group, so that at any point in time, the schools or the teams that perform better have like a higher chance of going through. So if you want to be an underdog, you have to be a very good underdog. It doesn't mean that it's always the Pot A schools that win, because the Pot B schools, sometimes you see that they didn't perform as much as they could. That's why they were in the Pot B, but they will set up and then they'll come and beat the Port A schools. So it's usually a strategy to avoid meeting the big schools. You know, this year we have schools like St. Peter's SHS coming to the prelims. We have GSTS also coming to the prelims. So it's better to meet schools that will be. It's better to be a Port A school so that you be in the Port A with them, so that you can progress and then meet other schools who also qualified from their regions but didn't score as many points, so that you have a higher chance of beating someone who didn't do as well as you did on the same stage. So the pot system is just a way for the competition to always push the stronger sides forward, so that when we get to the quarters, the semis, the final, that one is your own eye read and your own preparation that will push you forward.
Okay, definitely. And so let me run you by some of the scores for Our Lady of Mount Carmel. They had 49 points against Yeji Senior High School. They also had 24 points, and then Amantin SHS had 24 points. And then in the second contest, we saw Kentampo, who had 31 points, and then Tiobodom, who had 24 points, and then Prang had 17 points. And then finally, to the contest of the day, Ekumfi Ameyao, they just gave us something. We were so marveled. Actually, somebody told me they were actually going to give us a stellar performance. Were you surprised?
I mean, I wasn't surprised. The Kumfia Maya is a school that is no stranger to the national stage. They are almost always qualifying from their region. So I guess this is more of a statement to the other regions in the other schools in the region, that when the time comes for the regional championship, Kumfia Maya should be a name they fear. You know, it's a scare tactic for the opposition. I don't know if they were the ones that said they were ready. No, it was Kentampo that said they were ready to melt their opposition.
It was Kentampo.
Yes. But no, it's always good to perform as well as you can on any stage, so that you improve on your performance, because the competition gets more difficult as the stages progress. At the national stage, the questions are more difficult and more complex. So if, quote unquote, the questions that are simpler here, you can't really do well, it will be very difficult for you to actually perform on the national stage. So kudos to Akumfia Mayor for performing so well yesterday, and hopefully they show that it wasn't just a one-day wonder, and they show out at the national stage and in the regional championship.
Okay. Yesterday when I was interacting with them, they told me that they want the likes of Presec and Prempeh College. They told me Aviator, that's the guy who answered almost like 10 of the true or false questions. So they are coming inside with Aviator to, let me say, slaying every other school. Should we watch out for Aviator?
I mean, I don't like to put pressure on the contestants, because the regionals, again, is a relatively smaller stage compared to the nationals. So it's not good to put too much attention on one contestant. Mind you, this is a team sport. This is a team competition. So Aviator might be the star of the show, but his teammates might also pull some strings that might turn the table on them. Aviator might be the champion of his school, but there are other champions in other schools, you know. So
definitely.
So it's definitely important to big up your star students and keep them inspired and confident, because sometimes it's confidence that makes the difference between winning and losing. But I think at this stage, Aviator should, keep his tactics close to his chest, and when the time comes, just give his best, and I'm sure he'll be fine. So definitely watch out for him, but also no pressure on the kids, because it's a national program. The eyeballs on them, the opportunities that will come afterwards, the kind of exposure they will get is important for them to be able to perform without feeling too tense on stage. So wherever Aviator is, I hope that he's confident, he's doing his work, he's just looking in front of him and moving forward. But yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Anthony. So those are some of the schools that have so far qualified here at the Bono East Regional qualifiers. We have Ekumfi Ameyao Senior High School, we have Our Lady of Mount Carmel Senior High School, Kentampo Senior High School, and then finally we have Atebubu SHS. So those are the 4 schools that have qualified from the Bono East region. And so for today we have some quite interesting contests that will be happening here at the Sunyani Technical University auditorium. I'm talking about the schools from the Bunu region. From the Bunu region, we only have one school that is seeded at the national stage. That is St. James Seminary School. They have so far seeded their spots at the nationals. They managed to qualify through to the semi-finals until they were kicked out by Presec Legon. But today we are going to have some 4 contests out of 5 contests that will be happening in the Bono region. For the 4 contests, let me run you by some of the contests that will be happening here in Sunyani. For the Bono region, we have 20 schools that are expected to clash it out today and then tomorrow. So for the first contest, it's going to feature Brekum SHS and then Nafana Presby SHS. We also have Sacred Heart SHS and then Bedu SHS. Brekum actually qualified last year. They are with me. Come closer, guys. Brekum is here with me. Brekum SHS. So that's some of the students. I'm sure they will be representing the school today. Okay, sure. So gentlemen, welcome. How do you feel? I feel you are too calm. Are you confident, or what should we expect from you?
What you should expect from us is we are going to do our best. And Brekum Senior High, we are always being the best. So today we are going to do our best.
You're going to do your best. What do you have to say? Your guy just says you're going to give your best. What should we expect?
As he said, we are here for our best. We are going to do our best, and we know our best will take us somewhere today. Yes.
Okay. Yesterday, Akumfia Meya gave us some thrilling performance over here. Should we expect something like, they gave us like 58 so far, the highest in the qualifiers, the regional qualifiers. Should we expect something like that?
Okay, you can expect something from that from us, because we are ready to break every record. Yeah, we are ready.
You're ready to break every record. Yes. Every record. Pepe has like 84 record in the national. So which record are you talking about?
Talking about the record that has been set by Akumfia. We are ready to break it today.
Akumfia, you are ready to. Okay, so guys, the guys from Brekum SHS, they are telling me that they are ready to break the record Akumfia Ameya set yesterday. You are the coordinator for these students. Help me understand, how prepared are you students?
Okay, thank you very much. From the look of things, we are highly prepared for the contest. Since 2015, we have been qualifying. Brekum Senior have been qualifying. And this year too is not an exception. We hope to qualify.
What does qualifying to the national stage mean to you? I know you've qualified yesterday, last year, you qualified to the prelims, but you were unfortunately kicked out. What does it mean qualifying this time around?
Okay. This time, if we're able to qualify, we are going to make an impression at the national level. Since 2015, we have not been making an impression, but this year, we hope to make an impression after our qualification.
I'm a bit curious about the 2015 one. What happened over there, 2015?
For the 2015, we qualified from the region with highest marks. So we move on to the next stage of the competition. That is the 1A stage. But unfortunately, we were kicked out of the competition. So previous year, 2016, the next year, they realized that if you have higher marks from the region still, you have to do the prelims. Because when you get to the national, you don't normally do well. That's what happened.
Okay, so today, what should we expect from your boys? Anything from your boys?
Today, as I said, we are here to qualify, but we hope to qualify with highest marks. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So those are the guys from Brekum Senior. But before you go, I want you to do something short for me. Maybe your anthem to ginger your boys and then those supporting you. Just your anthem before you go. Okay, so let's go.
We hail Mother Best, home of education, the fountain home of love and peace. We hail Mother Best, home of education, the fountain home of education for service. God bless, keep safeguard our home, great best. We dedicate ourselves to a nation. Excellence, excellence, excellence is our goal. We hail, we hail, we hail our alma mater best. We hail, we hail, we hail our alma mater best.
Okay, so those are the guys from Brekum SHS. I can see a macho man amongst them. I don't know whether he's going to score for them or he's going to give them. What support are you giving to your guys?
Every support that they need has been given, and I believe that with the much support they have gotten back home, they will do their best over there. And we have done our best, and we believe that God will do the rest. We are going to win.
Okay, so they are hoping that God will make them do their best during this particular contest for the regional competition. In the second contest, we have Drobo Senior High School. They will be slugging it out with Methodist Senior High School, and then Mansin Senior High School, and then Jenny. Unfortunately, Jenny, we know their compatriots are mostly Tiobodom. If you know the history behind Jenny and Tiobodom, unfortunately, Tiobodom couldn't qualify. So they are hoping that maybe they can qualify and then save that friendship. And in the third contest, we would see Sunyani SHS slugging it out with Winchi SHS, and then Nkraman SHS, and then finally Odumaseman SHS will also be in that particular contest, the third contest for the day. We also have the contest that will feature Notre Dame Girls SHS, and then Sumaman SHS, and Diamono SHS, and then Chenemanfo SHS will be in that particular contest. So there will be 4 contests that will be happening today, but tomorrow we will see the final contest happening. It will be between Doma SHS and then Kwasi SHS and then Goka SHS and then Brekum Presby SHS. So that's the feeling over here at the Sunyani Technical University. There's a lot of euphoria in here. The schools have started arriving. I can see Methodist SHS have also arrived. So we will be going inside for you to see how everything, the structure and everything would be like for today's contest. But in our subsequent bulletin, we will bring you some exciting sounds and then sights from here at the Sunyani Technical University. From here in Sunyani, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku. Over to you, Benjamin, in the studio.
Well, Emmanuel, thank you for handing over the baton. And interesting there, Jene for almost about Jene schools in here now. Jene and Tuabadam. Unfortunately, Tuabadam falling by the road this year, but Jene holding the flag high. That's from Sunyani, and we'll be going now to the Western region. We have Michael Ashale standing by in Takrady. We know there are some strong schools there as well. Archbishop Porter Girls and Pohor Secondary, Fijai. We also have the Ghana Senior High Technical, all of them in the race. Let's find out what the regional contest is shaping up to be. Michael Ashale is in Takrady. Mike, if you can hear me, take it away. What has been happening there? What can we look forward to today?
Benjamin, so just like the oil-rich city, the contest that started yesterday was very much rich. I mean, I'll explain why that is so, because, I mean, it's quite interesting how some of these schools managed to perform. It was quite a bit of drama, while some others were on the very high end. Many others were also struggling to accumulate points. But all in all, yesterday, the first day of the contest in the Western region was, quite interesting. I mean, you'd expect that GST, as former champions, should not be Last year, if you recall, Shama SHS managed to kick them out, so they did not qualify. So they came this year trying to, make an impression and trying to also again qualify for the nationals, and they managed to do that, and they were the first contest with 46 points. The closest was 41 points. That was from St. John's School. And St. John's here wanted to be a new summer on the block. Unfortunately, it appeared that GSTS was more than prepared and had the edge over them at the end of the day. But there was a third school in the contest. There was Anoy J. They had 13 points, quite far behind. But in the second contest, you have Sama, last year's underdogs, that managed to make waves. They competed in this particular contest, the second contest. Unfortunately for them, the luck and sign of last year was not available for them to use, because St. Mary's boys rather managed to ace in that particular contest with 49 points. And then Takrady SHS came through with 27 points. Then Samar now came in as third with 26. And then there was a St. Augustine's SHS Bogosi. Yes, I have to add Bogosi because it is not the St. Augustine's College. Yes, that we know. So they came through with 22 points. But definitely that was also a nail-biting experience. I mean, for Shama, of course, because they were hoping that they would qualify to the nationals and again try to extend their winning streak. But that did not happen for them. In the third contest for the day, you have Sankor SHS, Asankogwa SHTS, then you have Izema SHTS, and then Tijai SHS. I don't know if you want to take a guess at who actually won that contest. But I mean, because I watched, let me just walk you through it. Tijai SHS actually came through first, 43 points. They led right from the first round all through to the fourth round. And you hear me say fourth. At the national level, you have 5 rounds, you have 4 rounds. So this is minus the problem of the day. Second school that came through was Sankor SHS, and then Izema SHTS came in at third position with 14 points, and then Asagogwa SHTS 9. And then to the biggest, probably, I mean, in my estimation, the biggest competition for the day was between Archbishop Porter Girls SHS and then Ahantaman Girls SHS. Then you have Bonzo Kak, then Christia SHTS. And again, it was a nail-biting experience. Between Ahantaman and Agbo, some bit of history. Last year, the two of them met at the regional level, and Archbishop Porter Girls won that contest. So Ahantaman certainly was looking for some form of revenge, and again also to go to the nationals and meet the big boys and girls that were seeded last year. Well, how did it end? Archbishop Porter Girls slayed them once again. So Ahantaman, I mean, they did well, I must say, but I don't think that it was enough to give them that edge over Archbishop Porter Girls. At the end of the third round, there was a 30-point gap between these two schools alone. And you realize I'm just talking about these two schools because the other schools were barely struggling to even make 5 points at the end of the third round. At the end of the second round, Bonzokaku SHS had -1. They owed the quiz mistress a point. Well, they managed to pay back. At the end of the third round, they had 3 points. So, including their one that they used to owe, so they paid that one back. And then, by the end of the contest, you have Ahantaman Girls SHS coming through with 26 points. Manso Amensi SHS 1 point. You have Bonzu Kaku with 3. And 18. And then the winner, and again, let me put across, for the first day in the Western region, got to the highest point, and that will be competing against other schools in the Western region for the second day, which is today, where they will be looking to top at the regionals level. But 50 points is what they ended with, and after my interaction with both schools, both Ahantaman and Archbishop, I beg your pardon, it showed that, well, Ahantaman is looking for a rematch. I don't know how many times you can go for a rematch, though, but they wish that next year they will get Archbishop Porter Girls a contest with them. And this time around, I met one of their Form 2 students who said she was going to come and was going to make sure that she redeems her school. But certainly, Archbishop Porter Girls said they will not be sitting down waiting for them to do that. They will meet them boot for boot. So, Benjamin, in the Western region, day 1, this is how it went. For today, quite a number of contests we are also expecting to have, but it will only, the Western region's contest will end today, and then tomorrow, that of Western North will commence. And certainly, we'll bring you all of those details and how it went down. Certainly, if you're following our social media platforms, you get all the juice. But today, which is the Wednesday, will be quite a number of schools. We have 4 contests with well over 15 schools that will be competing in all of them. But in the Western North region, which is the contest will happen tomorrow, we're expecting that St. Joseph SHS, Joaboso SHS, Bibiani SHS, Bia SHS will all compete in the first contest out of 3. And then you have Queen's Girls SHS, Teshibekwai SHS, Tadieso SHS, Teshiroso SHS, then we have Teshiroso SHF, Bodi SHS, Asa Winso SHS, then Nana Brintu SHS. All of these schools will be competing, hopefully, tomorrow, if the weather does not decide to misbehave. So those are some of the contests that we are expecting for tomorrow. Quite an interesting one. Then from there, we'll head to the central region.
Well, Michael, thank you for braving the odds and the weather to bring us that report. We look forward to those contests to see how the cookie will crumble. Michael Ashali, my colleague in Takrade in the Western region. That's how we cap it off for today, but expect us in the course of the day to bring you what the action provides as far as the National Science and Math Quiz is concerned. Stay with us when we return. We've already been speaking about the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey. Well, today we'll be interacting with one of our sponsors, Charlina Health, producers of Shaltox lozenges and leopard balm. We'll be interacting with them after the break. If you've been a fan of our Hits FM Rep Your Jersey, if you've been that, then you should also acknowledge the sponsors that allow us, our partners who allow us to bring you that every year when it's time for the Champions League trophy to go either way. Well, this year, one of those on board, Charlina Health. They are producers of Shaltox lozenges, and we'll be showing you that right here on our set, and leopard balm. They are joining us for a conversation. In the studio, we have Solomon Sakite, Marketing Executive, Charlina Healthcare. He is right to my left. And we also have Richard Obey, Wholesale Manager, Charlina Healthcare. I remember back then we had this musician, something Obey. Is yours Obey or Obey?
Yeah,
Which one?
I think it's the Obey, the one from Nigeria, right?
Yes, yes.
We are related somehow.
You are?
Are you sure?
Somehow. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Taking us back in time. Gentlemen, thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Hits FM Rep Your Jersey. So you're repping your Charlina jersey.
Oh, yes, sir.
On set.
Yeah. And trust me, we are repping Charlina quality jerseys over there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
Wow. But you know, just to kick off the conversation, do you support any European teams, any football teams on the European landscape?
Oh,
do
yes.
you?
Yes, I support. I'm a Madrid fan.
Real Madrid?
Yeah, Real Madrid.
Oh, and you got booted out by Manchester City.
14-time champions.
Oh, yeah, we'll give you that. We'll give you that. Some of those you won in the past, though, like in the...
what about the 3 times in a row?
Oh, yes, that one, I mean, we doff our imaginary hats to you. Real Madrid has, you know how to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
You have some skill there. Do you have any team that you support?
Arsenal.
Arsenal?
Oh, wow.
Do you have your blood pressure kit?
Yeah, I sorted myself out before I came in.
Oh,
I mean,
know.
It's a moment of distress, and then we managed to hold on to second position.
Oh, good.
We'll be seen in the Champions League. So you will see Arsenal bounce back again.
Hey, wow.
Arsenal bouncing back.
Yeah.
I like the way they're supporting on the back of the performance this year.
Yes.
They've had quite a pep. But let me come to you, Solomon. So tell us a bit about what brought you on board this year to partner the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey. What got you on board?
Oh, okay. Charlina Healthcare, actually the name is Charlina Healthcare.
Okay.
And Charlina Healthcare as a pharmaceutical company, we realize there is a link between sports and medication. And for this matter, we want to come on board so that we could use the opportunity to educate some of our customers who come there on health issues. We also showcase some of our quality products that our people will love and trust, right? Charlina Healthcare is a very big company. We are in operation in 18 countries, over 18 countries in Africa.
18?
Yes, yes. And we have a head office located in Dubai and have a state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities in China, India, and that of Nigeria. So we have a lot of product range that we would like our customers to have a feel of it. Some like the Chartos lozenges we have in here, the Leopard Balm. So all these products will be put on display over there. And we'd like our fans to have a taste of some of these products and give good testimonies about them as well.
So you're going to be repping hard on
we
the
are
day.
there to rep our JC, have fun, relax. So, stress comes with a lot of issues. So when you're there, you need to get time to have fun. You need to get time to relax the body. So this initiative by Hits FM is warmly welcomed by Charlina Healthcare for us to partner and have fun together at Aviation Social Center. So this is the reason why we are on board.
Health and wellness. So tell me, in terms of the products, your product range, let's get into that. Your lozenges, Chartos lozenges. You say, so they come in these packs, very lovely packs, orange, yellow, green, mixed in there. I think I have to try one before we wrap. But tell us a bit about your lozenges. Richard, let's start with you.
Right, so our lozenges is one of the best lozenges we have in Ghanaian market. And it's good for sore throat.
Okay.
And then the cough. If you are coughing and you are on a cough syrup, this one can be added to take care of the cause your throat. And the one thing that we want our viewers to know is that Chartos lozenges is the one that when you take it, you will be relieved of your cough and your sore throat. Exactly. The flavor is nice, and when you go to the market, everywhere in any pharmacy in Ghana, you'll find Chartos lozenges being sold there. And it's very affordable for everyone who wants to take care of sore throat issues in Ghana.
So it's from a natural origin. So we say, think natural, think Chartos for your sore throat relief. So it contains ginger, it has peppermint, and it also has turmeric in there, which are all from natural sources. So we have two flavors here. This is a honey lemon, and then this is a ginger base. Okay, so it's very good and has a very good taste for you.
I see.
Yeah.
So my attention was drawn to this. I mean, I was just looking at it. Chartos. That is not. It's a combination of different things, isn't it?
A combination.
Because I see Latu in there. Latu is cough in French.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So does it have any background in the French language?
Oh, yes. This the name Char came from Charlina.
Okay.
And then the tox is coming from the range you're talking about, the cough.
Okay.
So all our cough ranges come in that. We have a lot of cough ranges, respiratory issues. We have the Chartos 4 ways, Chartos natural herbal lozenges, herbal syrup. Okay, so we have a lot of Chartos ranges. So the name Char comes from Charlina, and then the tox coming from.
I'm sure the French or the Francophones will see it and say Chaltou.
The reason
Chaltou.
In fact, you have the French on it as well. So
the reason why you are saying that in French is that we are all over Africa countries, like is mentioned.
Yes.
We want to be one of the. Actually, we are one of the market leaders in Sub-Saharan Africa regions,
right.
in pharmaceutical space. So you know that we are not only in Ghana. We are all over the countries.
Yes.
We are all over Africa countries, 18 countries. We have about 1,400 products registered in Africa.
Yes.
And in Ghana, and in Ghana we have 80 products registered
and this,
with FDA.
This come across over 13 therapeutic areas. So when you talk about the pain medications, We have Ibucap, which is a well-known brand.
Right.
We have the Derma products.
It has ibuprofen in
Epidem.
Yeah.
So if you don't know Charlina at all, not our Epidem, because it's very popular. And we have the anti-malaria range, which is Charlatan. And we've done a lot of adverts on Charlatan, where Dr. Laiki is our brand ambassador for Charlatan. So if you need a quality anti-malaria, trust us, we also have Charlatan for you as well. Yeah.
Let's talk about your ointment range, your balm range, and you have leopard balm.
Yes.
Solomon, tell us a bit about leopard balm.
Leopard balm is a very good product if you want to overcome pain related to back pain. You have joint pain, you have lower back pain, muscle pain, okay? It's very essential because it contains about 7 essential oils. And this enables its effective penetration through the tissues and also give you a faster relief to your pain. So with leopard balm, it's very effective overcoming pain. So sometimes we take balm by just applying it to the area where you feel pain. But then there's also a means of taking the product that works better. You can put maybe a towel in water, warm water, then use it to rub the area. It's enabled the tissue to open up, the spaces, the pores to open up and encourage easy penetration. So we would like our customers that will be taking leopard balm to at least apply some warm
dip your
towel.
So you can use something warm, a warm towel or something on that end before you, for maximal effect.
Yes, for maximum effect. And it works even without doing that, but you'll be able to reap all the benefits if you're able to apply it that way as well. Very effective, leopard balm.
Yeah. I see. And I'm sure on D-Day at the Aviation Social Center, you'll be talking to those who will be trooping to that place about your products and sharing these with them as well. Apart from this and the other ranges that you have mentioned, what are you going to be doing on D-Day? What are you going to be speaking to those who come to the Aviation Social Center about? Richard?
Okay, at the Aviation Center, anyone that comes there will have opportunity to get your products free. Shuttles lozenges will be on board, and if you come there, you are assured of Shuttles lozenges. You are assured of any product leopard, we will give you free. You don't need to come with any money to buy it. After running around, shouting and everything, getting a sore throat, Shuttles lozenges is there to help you out. Leopard is also there to take care of your pains, your muscle pull and everything. So expect all these products available at free cost, not anything for it.
So they're basically saying that while eventually they want you to purchase their products, they trust the products so much that they are willing to give some of them out to you on D-Day for free. Now, when you try it and it works for you, guess what? You'll be stuck because their products are that good. Any final words as you take leave of us? I'll start with you, Solomon.
Yes. My final word is that Charlina Healthcare, as a pharmaceutical company, we are not only into manufacture of medicine, we also have a consumer range. So we have a Jamol, which is an antiseptic soap, and we also have Jamol liquid. So if you want to treat
how do you spell the Jamol?
It's Germol.
Germol. Okay.
Yes.
So
and also we also have a diagnostic center where it's well equipped with a lot of equipment for all your laboratory tests. Yes. So it's located right opposite Kolebu Teaching Hospital Administration. So where the bar station is, the story building, the last story building is located at that area. So if you have any test that you want to run, trust us, we are there to deliver good work, yeoman job to you. And also, we like our customers to have a feel of Shuttles lozenges, especially you, the presenters. You will love it. We want to hear the quality of your voice.
Exactly.
And then the musicians. So it will be glad for us to hear good feedbacks regarding the quality of our products. And that's what Charlina is made of. That's us. And we've also received good recognitions from customers from award institutions like 2021, we were awarded as Promising Company of the Year by Ghana Farmer Award and Ghana Business Award in 2022. We've also received an award as Healthcare Provider of the Year. And the most recent one is last month, where Society of Family Physicians have appreciated how Charlina Healthcare have impacted knowledge through series of webinar sessions that we have to impart knowledge to healthcare providers in Ghana. So they've awarded us with a nice citation to appreciate us for our good work in promoting healthcare in Ghana.
Obviously, it's quite a trajectory you're on, and we wish you the very best in that. Richard, final words.
Yeah, my final is, I believe that a healthy mind is in a healthy body. So we are finding a healthy mind in a healthy body. The healthcare provider which you can rely on is Charlina Healthcare.
Yes.
Charlina Healthcare is there to meet every need of your health. So we are ready at any point in time. Our lab is ready for anything concerning lab, and we are also ready for promoting good health as a company in the country. So in short, Charlina is here to serve Ghanaian community beyond every boundary.
And we say one Charlina, one family.
Right. Okay. One Charlina, one family.
Great.
Let's be a family. So I'm going to take this, and right after the break, I'll come and give you the verdict on how it went. He says the presenters should get them, so I'm going to have one. After the break, I'll come and tell you how it went. But we've been joined in the studio by Solomon Sakite, Marketing Executive, Charlina Healthcare, and Richard Obey, Wholesale Manager, Charlina Healthcare. Thank you so much for partnering us on Hit FM Rep Your Jersey. And we shall be there to patronize Leopard Balm and Shaltu, if you like. And the Germo as well.
Yes, Germo. Yes,
right.
yes.
So do stay with us. When I get back, I'll be giving you the verdict on this. But for now, let's settle for AM Business. It's brought to you courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. And today, James Ashan reports that some investors within Ghana's automotive industry want government to explore various options, that is, in addressing the high taxes causing distress within the space. What's the way forward? AM Business up next.
So I just want to know what influenced the decision to start assembling cars in Ghana?
Yes, actually, to be honest, a few years ago, the government came up with a policy, and we were invited to discuss about it, all the stakeholders. And actually, we saw that it was a good opportunity for, first of all, for Ghana to industrialize. Second of all, for us to also become more committed into the industry by starting the assembly and later on even going to other places in the future. So yes, I would say it was the policy the policy introduction, and for us we were happy that this would take us to another level as a country in the future.
Speaking about policy, recently I've been engaging some players within the automobile industry. They're raising concerns with respect to some gaps within this policy. I don't know, what are some of these gaps in this policy you would want to share with me, or you feel something can be done to improve it?
Actually, I wouldn't say there are gaps as much as it is normal. Like in any country, when there's a new policy being implemented, definitely there will be back and forth where the different stakeholders will be sitting with the government and the government agencies to discuss if there are any certain things that needs to be, adjusted or updated. And also, on the other side, I think the policy, in the policy, there's a period that every few years the policy has to be, the whole stakeholders or the whole committee should sit to see if there's anything that needs to be revised or anything that needs to be updated. So definitely you will always have things that will be noticed at a later stage, but there is always open dialogue between the stakeholders and government and the different government agencies to see if there's anything to be done or any discussions to be taking place.
Having to assemble cars here in Ghana, one common concern would have to do, or basically had to do with the cost of operations. Assembling cars here in Ghana and bringing in cars, how is the cost of operations like?
Now, of course, if you wanna discuss about the cost itself, usually, definitely there'll be additional cost for us to be assembling here. But with the structure of the policy, the way it was put, there were certain exemptions, like duty exemptions and other taxes exemptions, which will make even though there is an additional operational cost to assemble those vehicles, but it will make the price more attractive than the imported vehicles because of as I said, the exemptions and the taxes that are being exempted on these vehicles.
There have been a lot of concerns out there. People are asking questions with respect to the fact that people are saying, are you guys just assembling the cars or it's just the component?
Actually, definitely we are not manufacturing at the moment, we are assembling. So usually the cars are coming in different components, and then we assemble them here and we reassemble the whole vehicle to make sure that it is assembled completely. Of course, there are some concerns that where are we going or this. Also, I always, talk about it in this way, that people who are raising these concerns should go back to read the policy, because also the policy explains the whole steps of how things will be going. The policy is into 3 different levels of assembly. It starts with the SKD, which is the semi-knockdown. Then you have another level which is called the enhanced SKD, which is the enhanced semi-knockdown. And then the third level will be the CKD, which is the completely knockdown. Of course, at the moment, almost all the assemblers are at the first level, because first of all, to move to the next level or the third level in the future, we need to build capacity. So we're starting from the level 1, where our employees and our local staff are being trained on how to do these things. And of course, with the revision of the policy every few years, we may be obliged to move to second level or the third level, which with time we will complete to reach to a stage where we are completely knocked down. But also at the same time, for us to reach to that level, there is a policy that is coming in by the government which is related to the component manufacturing policy, which will also encourage people to come and invest into component manufacturing, because for us, if we want to reach to a level where we have completely knocked down or even assembling locally manufactured components, we need to have a whole policy that will help and attract foreign investments to come in, for them to start, manufacturing components here, which will then take us to more and more sophisticated levels in the future.
Now, so let's look at taxes. In recent times, we've seen government imposing taxes. It appears the private sector is sort of crowding out with respect to some of these taxes and all that. You players within the automobile industry, to what extent is it affecting your operations?
Now, definitely, as I said, in the automotive business as a whole, all the taxes that are getting imposed are applied on us as well. Because also our business model is not only assembled vehicles. We have also spare parts. We have other components that we sell. Like for example, in our case, we do tires, we do batteries, we do also other components. So of course there are taxes that have been added in the last 1 or 2 years. Definitely. Also, we know that the inflation in the country has also, which everybody is facing in the country. So yes, I would say economically things are not in the best shape. But for us as the private sector, we always hope and pray that things will get better. We always plan ahead and see and hope that things will get better. so we can be able to provide our customers the best products and services that we can. The only place where there are exempted taxes, as I mentioned earlier, is on the assembled vehicles. And we hope that with this in place, will maybe attract more people to, buy assembled vehicles in Ghana.
Some are also saying, it appears you guys have an association. Why don't you push government to sort of have some tax relief to bring down the cost of operations and all that? Have you guys been pushing enough, or you feel the government is basically neglecting your concerns?
I wouldn't say that. We, as I mentioned earlier, we are in constant discussions with the government of how we can, tackle these issues. Of course, as an association, which I belong to, we have had several discussions with the government and different government agencies to see how we can find solutions in a way where, like the taxes are a little bit more, how do I put it, bearable. For us, also, what we always encourage the government, and we encourage, is to widen the tax net, because by widening the tax net, the pressure on the government in getting revenue will be less. Because for us, this is where we will feel that the more the tax net is widened, the more we will be all relieved. Because at the moment, you have a smaller percentage of people who are paying the taxes, and when the revenues are there to be collected, these are the same people who are being, looked at, or like people are. The government is expecting that the people who are registered or the people who are known that they are paying taxes, these are the people who will be also, taken into consideration for the revenue collection. So for us, we believe that widening the tax will help us achieve tax revenues without putting pressure on the small population that are already paying. And of course, as I said, we are always, as an association, as different associations which we belong to, we've always been sitting with the government to find solutions on how we can find solutions in a way where we can make it in a way more cost-friendly for us as companies.
Now, so there's a growing concern also that had to do with the fact that government definitely cannot buy all these cars. What are you guys doing to ensure that private sector or the private players can also buy some of these cars that are being assembled here in Ghana?
Definitely. Now, with the government, they have different, like, the government, they have given a presidential order that any cars that are being bought by the government, the priority should be for the assembled vehicles. And I think this is a good step for us as assemblers. But of course, as you said, it's not enough. We need also the private sector to also be buying from us assembled vehicles. I'm sure by the policy being fully implemented, the auto policy being fully implemented in place, this will also make the assembled vehicles more attractive in terms of pricing for the private sector to opt to buy them. So I think this is one as the first point. The second point that we believe is also what was announced by the government, and we've been discussing it for a while, is also the government is talking to different stakeholders to have like a fund where loans at low interest rate will be given to the private sector or individuals to be able to buy assembled vehicles at a cheaper cheaper funding rate.
Now, another thing also, since you started assembling cars here in Ghana, what has been the response from the local market? Has it been positive or has it been negative? What has basically been the response?
No, I would say it has been positive. We have not been assembling cars for a long time, but so far so good. The people are also, some of our customers are happy that they are buying vehicles that are assembled in Ghana. So also we as a company we are known for our after-sales service and our focus on our customers. So this is like creating more and more confidence between us and our customers, and also we are also, you know, like telling our customers that we are trying as much as possible to assemble as much as models that we can, so we can make it also more attractive for them to be able to buy it at better pricing. So far we have started with 6 models of Kia, and we are planning to introduce also another 3 models in the next few months. So we'll have a total of 9 models. Also, we are also adding light commercial vehicles into the line. So we are trying as much as possible to give more and more diversity to our customers, so they can have more and more attractive pricing in the future.
As a private business in the country, within the past 5 months, we've seen the Bank of Ghana increasing the policy rate, which means definitely when you go to the banks for the lending rate would be very expensive there. I don't know, is that also affecting operations to you guys within the automobile industry?
Definitely, in general, it is affecting the business in general, because as you said, taking loans from the banks is at a higher interest rate. But as I said, for us, we also pray that the measures that are being taken by the government should also, you know, make sure that the interest rates goes down in the future. But when it comes to the assembled vehicles in particular, as I said, there are discussions between the government and different institutions on how to provide, like even Afrixim, also other entities where discussions are happening where they can have a fund that is specially given for assembled vehicles, so they can take it at a very low interest rate, so they don't get affected by the high interest rates on the bank loans at the moment.
Now let's look at pricing. I just want to know, cars assembled here in Ghana and ones being imported, are there any differences?
In terms of differences, they are exactly the same vehicles that we used to import. The only difference is we're assembling them here. So they come in different components, and we do the assembly and we sell them on the market. But when it comes to the quality, or it comes to the options or the different trims, for us, as far as I know from our side, we are even bringing the same trims that we used to bring before, with the same options, same vehicles. It's only a matter that you see them in components instead of you know, coming completely built. Also, for us, this gave us the opportunity, because of the taxes, is we are also introducing more options. Like also we're introducing new engines, because before a higher, bigger engine used to attract more taxes. So also now we're being able to introduce more options or more engines which can attract the customers. Before, we used to have demands from the customers, and we used to tell them, okay, we can do that, but this is what will be the tax difference on these vehicles in terms of engine and other stuff. Then they say, no, let's stick to what you have because of the price difference. Now we are being able to provide that in a more attractive way. So also this is allowing us to serve our customers better.
Dry season. Dry season. Dry season. Dry season. Rainy season. Rainy season. Rainy season.
The Christian Heritage School in the Tatale district of the Northern Region has inadequate furniture, so the children sit on stones and blocks to study. Some of the children simply lie down if they start to feel uncomfortable. They become playful, dirty, and sometimes occasionally nod off on the bare floor. Research from the Ghana Education Service in the Northern Region shows only 33.6% of children at the kindergarten level have school furniture, The data also shows that 56% of primary school children do not have furniture. It is almost the norm to be without school furniture.
For kindergarten enrollment currently stands at 881, and of that number we have 52,643, and that gives us a 33.6%. So in total, about 104,238 children are currently either perching with somebody or sitting on the ground.
The total furniture deficit in the northern region alone stands at 321,116. Olivia Chemame is in her early teens. She is unwilling to sit on the bare floor at this point in her adolescence. She wants the government to stock her school with enough furniture.
After sitting on stones and blocks for long hours, you start to develop sores on your buttocks because the surface is quite rough. You feel very uncomfortable and unable to pay attention and learn. We park about 3 to 4 blocks before we sit. If you get up abruptly, the blocks may fall on your toes and you would even get hurt. We are pleading with government to come to our aid. It is unfair when we sit for the same national exams and we're expected to perform like schools in Tamale and Accra. Some parents can afford to take their children to private schools while we remain here in ill-resourced schools.
Lack of school furniture is just one of the many challenges in her school. Studies are conducted under simple sheds which are thatch-roofed without walls. Teachers say the children are subjected to the whims of the weather.
When during Harmattan time, you'll be there, then the wind will blow dust onto ourselves. The whole class will now be very, very dusty. Children and the teachers, they will all be struggling with their eyes. So writing or looking on the board becomes a challenge. And during rainy season too, it becomes very, very worse. Anytime it rains in the morning, that means teaching and learning cannot take place because all the desks will be wet. The whole classroom, because it's not flooded, there will be water. When it rains heavy, water will just be in the class. And it will take the whole day, no teaching and learning. And it's affecting us a lot. So sometimes when it rains in the morning like this, we become so sad, both the learners and the teachers.
It rained the day after Joy News finished filming and departed Tatale. The personnel there filmed and sent videos to show what they had been complaining about. But that is not all. Sometimes reptiles invade classrooms, disrupting class sessions.
My name is Mame Bisandra.
When it rains, school ends. In the rainy season, snakes invade our classrooms and we run away. We want government to help us.
Big snake or small snakes?
The big ones and the small ones.
Parents say they have engaged a Tatale District Assembly office on many occasions, but their needs have not been addressed.
This assembly
We have visited the Tatale District Assembly on many occasions. We have written letters begging authorities to fix our problems. They do not even visit the school. We keep going back to the assembly, but our challenges remain unsolved.
Peter Amana, an assistant director of education in the Tatale District, says funding remains a major challenge.
In your rounds, you would have seen that parents will have to help in constructing their own furniture for their pupils or their wards in the school. And if it is in the villages, it's deplorable. I think we are progressing with the little resources that we have, because the most important thing is the resources. When the resources, that is both human, material, and at the same time, the resources for monitoring and then inspection. These are these are the things that will bring about quality learning.
Government faces a monumental challenge in transforming many of these underprivileged institutions from places of shame to places of fame. However, is there political will? Jojo Kopna, Joy News.
Say they born me for Ghana, for Ghana. No be my fault, say they raise me for Ghana, for Ghana.
And the Shell 2 or Shell Talks, yes, really worked. I don't know whether you've noticed the difference, but I feel much better in my throat area. Welcome back on the AM show. As we wrap, we'd love to hear from you. So we're throwing the ball into your court. 0302-211-691. 0302-211-691. Call us and let's know what your thinking is. You don't have to limit yourself to the discussions we've had here this morning. We've spoken about the Boundary Commission and its work. It gets 3 million Ghana cedis out of the 56 million Ghana cedi budget it presented, but they are making do with what they have. They need support. What's your take on that? Earlier, there was also talk from Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante on the economy, with the Vice President saying there's going to be a rebound, that we're in the process of making a comeback. He wasn't so convinced, however, and he felt this dependency on the IMF is problematic. That and more to share your thoughts on. But for now, Akonoba joins the conversation. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
It's been a long time. What has been happening?
Oh, you know, I'm at the law school, so I was very busy.
I see.
Yeah, very busy. So I'm sorry. I was doing, and now you vacated, so I'm okay.
I see. All right.
My brother, can I touch on the World Bank country director issue?
Pierre-Frank Laporte's issue. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. You see, yesterday, the Honorable MP for Yate Shegu, John Dinapo, he did well. You see, it's now time that this expatriate, their comments must not be seen to be political. You are apolitical. The Auditor General has made his audit. The Auditor General is a Ghanaian. It's a foreign expatriate. Per Article 2.1. He cannot go to the Supreme Court to enforce the Constitution. So what is Isloki? What is Isloki? If you've given Nana Akufo this government money and you feel that the money has been spent well, just keep quiet. What is Isloki?
But you do admit that they, whether it's the World Bank, the IMF, they source information from countries, from the Ghana Statistical Service, among other institutions, and that is what they use for their reports. You do know that, right?
So, but you see with this expatriate and foreign diplomats, mostly these things are done, let me say, for want of better word, insecurity. Doesn't come out. The moment you come out, then you are becoming political. In John Mahama's time, do you know the number of issues that came across that didn't come out about President Kufuor's administration? I mean, you don't do this. The moment you come out, then you expose yourself for political bastardization. Some of us will come in and attack you. Is that fair? So if you think the government has done well, keep quiet. We are here to support the government in terms of many social intervention programs. That's what we've been doing all this while. Why is it that all these past country directors, when they came here, they did not display this attitude? Like saying that you was emphatic. My problem is, he was emphatic that John Mahama ICT is the cause of our economic woes. Meanwhile, Kelofurata and President Akufo-Addo are also telling Ghanaians that it's the COVID. So you are saying the IPP, and President Akufo-Addo is saying it's the COVID. So who should we believe? You should keep quiet. You should shut his mouth. Only if you ask him.
All right.
You see him as a politician. I'm telling you, you should keep quiet.
Akonoba, thank you for sharing your thoughts there. Akonoba sharing his thoughts on Pierre-Frank Laporte's comments in respect of the IPP deals or arrangements under former President John Dramani Mahama. Of course, we've heard from former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor. We've heard from, yes, like was mentioned, John Jinapor, among others, and they have posed a stiff rebuttal to that. But more conversations coming your way on this network. Before I knock off, a very happy birthday, 60th birthday to Felix Kofi Ajayi, Office Assistant, Corporate Office Multimedia Group Limited. May God continue to keep you strong, happy, and healthy as you enter this next phase of your life. 60, wow. We pray for extra oil, extra anointing upon your life, and may it overflow. It's from all your friends and colleagues at the Multimedia Group Limited, specifically the corporate office and the business unit. This morning, Mr. Ajayi, we celebrate you. Happy birthday to you. And if you're celebrating your birthday anywhere you are, if you're watching us today, happy birthday to you as well. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. It's been a pleasure coming your way. But up next, we have Joy News Desk. Stay tuned for all the latest tidbits in the world of news right here on this network. Have a good morning.